Good morning and welcome to today's virtual PATA Destination Marketing Forum 2021 under the theme Experiences That Inspire. Today's event is kindly supported by the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Sarawak, as well as the Sarawak Tourism Board. We have a fantastic program ahead of us over the next 2 days. But before we begin, first allow me to introduce myself. Let me get the next slide here. First, my name is Paul Brancan. I am the Director of Communications and External Affairs at the Pacific Asia Travel Association, also known as PATA, and I will be your host over the next 2 days. Now, I said we have a great program ahead of us, and before we get to our official opening remarks, I do have a couple of housekeeping notes to share with you all this morning. So, as you can see on your browser, you have a chat function. Feel free to use the chat function to engage with other participants. Say hello, where you're from, what you're doing. If you have any comments about what you're seeing on the presentation today, feel free to type it into the chat. As you can see, there's also a one-on-one chat function. So if you see a colleague that you know, feel free to reach out to them one-on-one for a chat. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, you can easily get back to the lobby, the conference, and the exhibition accordingly, and I'll let you know why that's important. So before we get to that, feel free to post any of today's sessions on social media. Remember to tag us either on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram. You'll see our handles accordingly for each of those social media sites. Feel free to also hashtag PDMF 2021, PATA events, or Sarawak travel. Now, regarding social media, I'll also let you know that we have a photo booth. So at the lobby page, you can see the photo booth and take a photo and share it on Facebook or Instagram. And of course, hashtag us as well with the handles I showed you before. And also hashtag PDMF 2021, hashtag PATA events, or hashtag Sarawak travel. Said you can go to the lobby page to find the photo booth, or you can scan the QR code as shown on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Feel free to do that. Love to see all your smiling faces on social media. And in the live page, you'll also find our virtual tours. So all delegates are invited to vote for the best virtual tour via Slido. A grand prize is being given out. Lucky draw grand prize is being given out. So feel free to vote for Virtual Tour 1, The Chase the Adrenaline, Virtual Tour 2, Tellen, The Soul of Muka, Virtual Tour 3, Embrace Heritage in Loas. Now, the first virtual tour will be happening later today at 3:30. That's 3:30 Malaysia time or Singapore time. The other two tours will be happening tomorrow. The vote button will be available after the tours. So I'll show you that right here. To be able to vote for your favorite virtual tour, you just go to their booth in the exhibition hall, and then you'll see the finger pointing on votes. You can go to the exhibition hall now and actually see a teaser of each of the virtual tours. And as I said, a lucky draw grand prize winner will be revealed on November 29th on the PATA event webpage. We will also, of course, email the winner. But please make sure when you're voting to put your full name so we know who you are. Don't put a fake name or anonymous, but your full name as you registered for the event. Voting will be closed tomorrow at 3 p.m. That's 3 p.m. Malaysia time or Singapore time. And the grand prize winner is a 4-day, 3-night trip to Miri, Sarawak. This excludes international flights, but does include a tour of the city and, of course, a tour of the markets. It has a total value of 1,500 USD. So after the tours, feel free to go ahead and vote for your favorite tour. In the exhibition area, you'll also see local product showcases, so various crafts from Sarawak. So feel free to go visit the booths and chat with the local representatives about what they have, the products that they're showcasing. You'll hear about them, some of them about them during the virtual tours. So feel free to check out the product showcases during the breaks or anytime over the next 2 days. So with that is all of my housekeeping notes for this morning, but I will, of course, remind you throughout over the next 2 days about these certain items. So without further ado, to our official opening of today's virtual PATA Destination Marketing Forum 2021. And with that, To open with this welcome address, please welcome the chairman of Sarawak Tourism Board, Mr. Dennis Now.
Hello everyone, greetings from Sarawak, land of the Hornbills. Firstly, I would like to welcome all participants to the virtual Pata Destination Marketing Forum 2021 with the theme Experiences that Inspire. As a region that grew to rival Europe as a top destination over the past decade, it is vital that Asia-Pacific market rebounds even harder than before. The sayings, quote, "We won't go back to normal because normal was the problem," unquote, has become synonymous with the pandemic. At this virtual Pata Destination Marketing Forum, let us share our challenges and success of our strategies on how to restart tourism across the region. Today, I hope that the forum goes beyond discourse and becomes a platform for all Asia-Pacific partners to collaborate with each other towards future-proofing our tourism and travel sector. As we move into new norm travel, it is an honor for Sarawak to be the host of this forum, and we cannot wait to share the many wonderful attractions that Sarawak has to offer. Nestled on the third biggest island in the world, Sarawak is strategically located at the heart of Asia Pacific, and it's easily accessible from the world's major cities. Sarawak has seen increasing growth in inbound tourism and was at its peak in 2019, where international visitors are made up of 44% of 4.66 million visitors. This echoes a strong potential for long-term growth. Home to one of the richest rainforests of the world and with 27 ethnic groups living harmoniously together, Sarawak is indeed a destination rich with culture, adventure, nature, and food and festival. The cultural diversity in Sarawak definitely makes it a preferred destination in Asia Pacific, as many tourism establishments are moving from destination marketing organization into destination management organization. Sarawak is also aware of the significance of advocating purposeful travel, in which visitors are not just mere guests, but also playing their role in preserving Sarawak's beautiful attraction for our future generation. The forum's theme, Experiences that Inspire, is the perfect phrase to describe the outlook of tourism in the years to come. Travel is not just about sightseeing, but more on embracing the holistic experience of that travel and creating an impact that would inspire the travelers themselves, the hosts, destination, and the communities. As the world begins to heal and recover with rising vaccination rates, Sarawak Tourism Board is fully committed to support the reactivation of tourism and the move forward with tourism strategies that emphasize on innovation and digital transformation in line with Sarawak's digital economy strategy, and of course, the continuation of responsible tourism development. Responsible tourism will always be the focal point for Sarawak. Our state government has taken the necessary steps to build an eco-friendly and sustainable tourism industry by working with different players to come up with ways to preserve Sarawak's tourism sector over the past few years in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. In 2019, Sarawak launched its first international journal on tourism and hospitality, to be published in Sarawak, entitled Journal of Responsible Tourism Management, which provides holistic views, robust findings, and practical insights on responsible tourism. The journal will also cover studies that include issues or practices related to economic responsibility, socio-cultural responsibility, and environmental responsibility, and more. Together with local tourism players and ecopreneurs, STB has embarked on activities like waste management, energy conservation, and environmental education. We encourage tourism players in Sarawak to participate in greening initiatives such as exploring innovative solutions to waste management, banning of single-use plastic, and upcycling used material. STB advocates mainly quality education, SDG 4, responsible consumption and production, SDG 12, and partnership for the goal SDG 17. Moving forward in tourism post-pandemic, we are at a significant moment where many populations of the world have been vaccinated, including Sarawak. The tourism industry in Sarawak is starting to look up after an intense national vaccination rollout plan carried out since February 2021. Sarawak was also the first state to administer booster shot to priority groups in mid-October. Following this trend, Sarawak may achieve more than 80% fully vaccinated population by end of 2021. This would make it possible for the state to establish itself as a safe green travel bubble destination with countries in the Asia-Pacific region soon. I hope that through virtual PATA Destination Marketing Forum 2021, all participants will get to learn and discover more about Sarawak. And from our featured virtual tours, you will be able to see for yourself why Sarawak is the perfect destination for an inspiring travel experience. To conclude, I would like to take this opportunity to wish all participants of Virtual PATA Destination Marketing Forum 2021 a productive session ahead. We welcome a robust exchange of ideas on innovation of future tourism practices in Asia that would inspire a positive change. Wishing all of you a productive forum ahead. Stay healthy and stay safe. God bless. Terima kasih.
Well, thank you, Dennis, for those opening remarks. And now we move over to the introduction to the Virtual PATA Destination Marketing Forum 2021 under the theme Experiences That Inspire. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome PATA CEO, Ms. Liz Ortiguera.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As the CEO of the Pacific Asia Travel Association, PATA, I would like to welcome you all to the Virtual PATA Destination Marketing Forum 2021. First, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our destination partners, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Sarawak, and the Sarawak Tourism Board for their generous support in helping us organize this event, as well as our various media partners for their assistance in promoting this event. As many of you may already know, the Pacific Asia Travel Association is a not-for-profit membership association that acts as a catalyst for the responsible development of travel and tourism to, from, and within the Asia-Pacific region. By bringing together our private and public sector members, the association facilitates meaningful partnerships to enhance the sustainable growth of travel and tourism in the region. Today's event highlights our commitment towards these goals, especially as we look towards rebuilding and restarting the travel and tourism industry in the region. As DMOs across the globe continue to rebrand from destination marketing organizations to embrace the importance of being destination management organizations, the Virtual PATA Destination Marketing Forum celebrates this trend with the theme of Experiences That Inspire. It builds upon the global movement towards purposeful travel, where visitors share a vision of doing more for themselves, others, and the planet. This event invites industry professionals and destination visitors to continue taking ownership of their travel experiences and create bigger impacts for their host destinations and their communities during their personal journeys for self-development. By helping visitors stay informed of their choices and actions, destinations can help cultivate the next generation of inspired travelers for the post-pandemic era. The COVID-19 pandemic has triggered a drastic shift in consumers' behavior, with businesses needing to adapt to these evolving trends in order to remain relevant. Now, with destinations around the region slowly reopening borders, communication and marketing, particularly in the post-pandemic landscape, has become critical to rebuilding consumer confidence and regaining market share. We as an industry must remain unified in our commitment to building a future where tourism remains a positive tool in fueling sustainable development and inclusive economic growth. As always, PATA remains committed to supporting our members and global industry colleagues to build a more resilient, responsible, and sustainable global travel and tourism industry. This can only be done by working together and focusing on plans for responsible development and inclusive growth. And I hope that many of you can support us in this mission. In this spirit of cooperation, I would like to once again thank our partners, sponsors, and all the speakers for sharing their knowledge and insights with us. And thank you for joining us for this event.
Thank you very much, Liz, for that introduction to today's event. Now, we've heard our opening speeches, and so we've officially opened today's event, and we've come to our keynote presentation. Now, our next speaker is a marketing and tourism industry strategist with 25 years of leadership with blue chip organizations, including as the former CMO and CEO of Destination Canada. He's currently a partner with Tourism Strategy Consultancy 2031, where he advises destinations around the world on how to achieve competitive advantage through leverage and mitigation of disruptive forces, whether they are technologies, travel behavior, or global pandemics. Ladies and gentlemen, for our keynote presentation, Moving Beyond Destination Marketing to Destination Management, please welcome the partner from 2031, Mr. Greg Clausen.
Great. Hey, good morning, everybody from yesterday, from Canada's West Coast, where it still is November 24th. I hope November 25th is treating you all very well. I'm really excited to be here and very, very thankful to PATA and to provide you with this very important presentation today. Hello to Liz and congratulations on her new role. I haven't had a chance to say that yet, but really looking forward to working closely with Liz, with Paul and the rest of the PATA team as we move forward. So I'm just going to put up my presentation for you. I have the honor of sharing with you what I'm going to talk about. And this is, as Paul had mentioned, just give me 2 seconds to put this up here. As Paul had mentioned, talking about the transition, moving beyond destination marketing to destination management. I caught the piece what Liz was referring to about how important it is, how important this is to inspire a new type of tourism, a new type of destination, if we want to sustain our tourism industry and our destinations going forward. And I'm going to show you in my presentation just how important that is, especially in a post-COVID era. If we want to build back better, if we want to take this opportunity, this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to transition how we communicate, how we sell our destinations, how we develop our destinations, so that we can sustain the tourism for the future, because that future is so critical and so important to so many. So let me talk start just giving you a perspective and a thought. I want everybody to kind of close your eyes and think and imagine what that future will look like. That future that Liz talked about, the future of tourism destinations that are managed as destination management organizations, where the destinations are attracting a higher yield, a more conscious traveler, one that aligns with the values of that destination. Those values could be around maintaining the integrity of the destination, of the cultural artifacts, of the environment, of the communities they support, so that all of those visitors complement the destination rather than extract and just take from that destination. Imagine a future where our destinations and our work holds our visitors to account. it ensures that our visitors themselves have responsibility. They're aware of their responsibilities when they visit a destination and the privileges of visiting that destination. It's not just a right to come into our places, but that they have an accountability to make sure that they tread lightly on our culture and on our environments when they visit. A destination that's more evenly distributed, perhaps away from the hotspots, so we don't have this massive overcrowding over short periods of time or short periods of seasons, but that we distribute our visitors more equitably across the seasons and across the regions so that we can garner more revenue from tourism and make sure that the tourists that we do get, we can manage them more effectively and that they have a great visitor experience themselves. A destination that's improved and enhanced by our visitors, not just again as extracting, but we enhance them. The visitors themselves are part of the narrative of the experiences that we provide. A destination where tourism revenue is left behind in the destination and not just extracted for big tourism's purposes, so that the big name brands and the big tourism take most of that money away from it. We want to make sure that there's revenue left behind in the destination and it's distributed to local residents. And a destination that accounts for the true costs of tourism, so that we're charging prices that are reflective of the costs of tourism. What about the costs on our sewage systems? What about the costs on our water? What about the costs on our environment and our culture? We want to make sure that those are properly accounted for when we're charging prices for tourism, so that the fees that our visitors are paying reflect the value that they're getting out of it, and that our gaps where we have tourism assets and experiences that may not necessarily currently reflect those values of our visitors in the future and the destinations that we want to be when we close our eyes and imagine what we want to be in the next, say, 5 to 10 years. But we make sure that when we attract investors, either they're small and medium-sized businesses or major government and private sector infrastructure-based businesses, that they're aligned with our values. The implication, of course, is that what we want to do with destination management is simply create a tourism destination created by design and not necessarily one that's been created by accident. But management is really going to be about making sure that we design the destinations that we want for the future. We know that in the last several hundred years, tourism destinations have mostly been created by accident. We've done a very good job of creating destinations, of building our tourism industry, but most of them have not necessarily been by design or by the development of strategies and management. We really have developed them by accident. We've lured investors we've built hotels, we've built experiences, and we've created storylines, marketing, and narratives around what we have to sell. But tourism itself, being focused mostly on marketing, has grown at breakneck speed. We know that the first 1 billion international travelers around the year 2012 took 1,000 years to get there. And it will only take 20 years to double that to 2 billion international travelers. That is extremely fast growth. In fact, prior to COVID, tourism was the fastest growing industry of the world, really growing in the ranks of about 4 or 5%. Tourism was a great investment for others, and we continue to focus on marketing our destinations in order to build more revenue, because our only metric was that growth. But that created some challenges for us. It created massive overcrowding at some of our world's most precious and vulnerable places, whether those were environmental pressures or whether they were cultural pressures on some of our ancient artifacts. It caused limits, closures of some sites, lots of evidence themselves of closures, of limitations in terms of how many visitors could come and visit, and a significant degradation of other sites. Created suboptimal visitor experiences. Nobody comes to visit a place to stand behind several hundred people in front of that artifact, that experience that they want to see. So the visitor experience itself was suboptimal. And most importantly, I think tourism went from being that nice industry, the one that everybody thought was great, to one that created an anti-tourism lobby groups, deteriorating resident sentiment, and decisions on its future were taken out of the hands of the tourism industry. We see that many destinations now are being impacted by political decisions in terms of what that destination can and can't do. So tourism itself has lost the levers. It has lost the control to develop and create its own destiny, mostly because, again, we're focused mostly on the essence of marketing and luring ever more travelers. And we had one single metric, and that metric was to bring more visitors to our destination itself. So implications of that, of course, is as tourism loses control and cedes that control to local, regional, and national governments, we have less and less opportunity to imagine the future that we want to create. Now let's enter COVID. Of course, if that wasn't bad enough, if the reputation of tourism had deteriorated fairly rapidly, we entered COVID. And of course, in the 14 months prior to the declaration of COVID, of this global pandemic, tourism had had its very, very best year. But of course, that came to a screeching halt in about 20 months ago, in March of 2020, as most countries, of course, closed their international and domestic borders. Tourism effectively disappeared, leaving so many small and medium-sized businesses, so many destinations decimated, communities, workers unemployed, and governments scrambling to help replace some of those incomes and help keep people afloat. But also what happened was the skies were clearer as planes stopped flying. Towns, cities, and protected places and heritage sites were quiet. The wildlife returned. We saw what a world without tourism looked like. And guess what? Most people liked it. They loved the idea that it was a clearer, cleaner skies, clearer and cleaner air because of the challenges that are faced with air traffic. We liked not having crowds in some of our protected places and our cultural sites. We liked having those places to ourselves for the very first time in many instances in decades. But also we know that the anti-tourism lobby had a new tool, and that was resident sentiment. Those residents that can't see beyond those crowded tourism destinations had a fear of visitors bringing COVID into our communities, and that was ramped up. Most destinations, I'm here in Canada, we have a very, very low receptivity to bringing in international visitors into our communities because there's a view that those visitors, anyone carrying a suitcase is likely carrying COVID. So we have very, very little receptivity to bringing in visitors. And if borders have reopened, although not necessarily fully in many instances, we've forgotten that joy of travel, the joy and the beauty and the importance of travel so we can share ideas and share cultures and learn from each other and enjoy that joy of travel itself. But as we slowly emerge from our basements, we'll need to be reprogrammed to travel again. A lot of work ahead of us. So what are DMO's new roles? Again, during this impact of COVID, we've had to keep tourism alive in order to support recovery, had to keep the idea of tourism alive. We've had to help small businesses navigate government support programs. We've had to develop job boards in order to attract labor as tourism has reopened. We've had to advocate for government support, for tourism support to build borders. We've had to guide our industry on new and changing health protocols, sometimes changing a couple times during any given week so that we could keep on top of those for our tourism community. We had to navigate those ever-changing rules, some of which seem to be more political than evidence-based, and we had to transition our markets to domestic and hyper-local markets from our traditional international markets. We had to do many, many things that weren't marketing, the kinds of things that we had done prior to COVID. But the implication of that is that we started to get used to new and different roles that are akin to those roles that we would play in destination management. But we have such a huge monumental task ahead. We need to address this resident sentiment towards visitors. I know this isn't just happening in Canada, but that resident sentiment and fear of visitors, especially international visitors, is rampant throughout the world. And we need to start to change that attitude about visitors and change the viewpoints that all visitors aren't necessarily carrying COVID with them. We need to remind ourselves and our nervous travelers of how important travel is so that we can get themselves back on airplanes and back into visiting our communities, but doing so in a very different way. And we need to fill in the gaps in our destinations from what we had to reflect on a vision that we might have for our future. And again, none of this can be done when our tourism leaders focus on destination marketing alone. And the implication here is that with COVID, with the terrible, terrible impact that COVID has had on our tourism industry, we also have a tiny little light at the end of the tunnel. And that is that we have a once in a generation opportunity to reimagine, to give us a new vision of what tourism should look like for our destinations for the future. And again, one that is created by design. We have an opportunity to design our future and not necessarily do and continue to develop our destinations by accident. So when we talk about a transition to destination management, what does that actually mean? Well, I've got some thoughts here in terms of what that could mean to our industry. The first is that we have a more balanced approach that considers local government, key stakeholders and shareholders in tourism, residents and visitors to help tourism positively impact lives. We need to look at a variety of different stakeholders and shareholders, not simply the tourism industry and not simply the visitors, but looking at residents and other shareholders and stakeholders in the business of tourism. We need to make sure that destinations are accountable to these key stakeholders and their shareholders, and that includes residents. We need to ensure that destinations lead with authority and social license so that their communities have respect for their leadership, respect for the decisions that they're taking, understanding that those decisions are taken on behalf of the broader good that tourism can provide and not necessarily just the economic portion of that. It requires a whole different set of skills, organizational governance for those organizations, and a different kind of mandate for those organizations. Again, if we go beyond just simply marketing. So focusing our marketing efforts on attracting those visitors that align with their values and visions for the destination to support more sustainable tourism future within their community. So in the marketing that we do, make sure that that marketing is focused on attracting visitors that share the values of the community and developing destinations that are in the best interests of that community, of its natural and cultural resources, so that they can be sustained for the generations to come and the tourism opportunities that may be coming down to the future. And if I can quote from one of our case studies, the county of Sonoma in Northern California suggests that your residents are actually your customers. And if destination marketers feel like they're working for any other group, they're not doing their jobs. So transition to a destination management, what are the criteria? And again, this will differ by destination by destination. Each destination has its own unique sets of challenges and own unique sets of opportunities and its own tourism culture. So while each are different, some of them will share some common elements to destination management. And they start with really ensuring that there's an environmental and cultural sustainability, ensuring that they focus on resident sentiment and political sentiment. Where are each of those destinations relative to the re-welcome of visitors back to their destinations, or the political sentiment that supports or doesn't perhaps support tourism? The idea of over-tourism, if there are periods of time where over-tourism is rampant within the destination, those will have to be addressed. If distribution of visitors across the seasons or even the days of week, if you're too crowded on the weekends, are there programs and plans to manage distribution of those visitors to the weekdays? If summer or winter are too busy for the destination, are there management plans to help disperse those visitors to other seasons as well? Development of tourism policies are important. Again, going beyond marketing to creating and supporting policies that reflect a destination's vision, the development of that destination itself, looking and seeking for small and medium-sized businesses or investors in developing the destination that reflects the visions for the future. Again, that's akin to product and experience development, making sure that they're aligned with that vision for the future, and managing revenue and managing yield to attract, in some cases, higher yield segments to your destination, ones that are more aligned again with those values. The implication here, of course, is that destination management gives us more control of our destination environment so that we can create a better destination for the future. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of case studies. And the first one, all of them are at a variety of degrees of transition into destination management organizations. None have necessarily yet declared that they are destination management organizations, but some are taking steps towards that direction. And the first one is Visit California. And I've just simply got a quote here from the CEO, Carolyn Bateta, who suggests that our success cannot continue unabated if we don't take into consideration that this industry is like any other commodity and needs to be sustainable. California's travel and tourism industry continues to redefine ourselves, and today that means expanding our mission to focus on stewardship. Destination marketing is becoming destination management. A huge tourism destination in California that focuses entirely in suggesting that they need to begin themselves to transition towards a destination management idea to protect tourism, to protect the assets for future generations. Another quite famous example is the Netherlands Board of Tourism and Conventions. They suggested in the paper that they wrote that said Perspectives 2030 that they are no longer, the very first destination that I've heard of, no longer promoting visitation, no longer marketing visitation, but instead are focused on managing visitors it was already getting. The goal from this program is that every Dutch person to benefit from tourism by 2030. So every single piece of tourism will touch every single Dutch person to have some impact from tourism by within the next 10 years. The new role is to develop regions in concert with residents around them. So looking at under-touristed regions across the Netherlands that don't necessarily currently see enough visitors and try to distribute some of those travelers from high impact areas like Amsterdam. Target developments to attract higher quality visitors interested in culture, history, and meeting locals, that they feel as though they're going to get a higher quality visitor that have those priorities and those values when they travel. And that residents would become co-owners of local tourism policies in addition to government bodies and businesses. So again, spreading that stakeholder list a lot further beyond just the tourism industry, beyond just the visitors, but to those that are going to become co-owners and co-developers and co-creators of tourism policy. I talked earlier about Sonoma County. It's an area that is a wine region about an hour north of San Francisco. It welcomes 11 million visitors during the day and overnight. And tourism growth is simply not celebrated in the region. There's pushback from local residents, frustrated with many, many issues that they blame on tourism. Of course, these aren't solely tourism's fault, but when they see crowded spaces and parking issues and traffic in their regions, tourism is the first thing that comes to mind, and they start blaming their environmental impacts, rising house prices from second home buyers as a result of tourism. And California itself has already experienced severe droughts in the last number of years and severe wildfires. And again, those are also blamed partially on tourism. So tourism's taking a hit for a lot of things that may not necessarily have direct to do with tourism itself. And their transition and their support for tourism development is to transition to not what they call a destination management organization, but a destination stewardship organization, moving away from marketing the county as being all about wine to a place where travelers can satisfy their environmental passions. So a focus on developing a destination and marketing a destination to visitors for whom the environment is crazy important. Again, alignment of values. Their vision, premier destination in North America for responsible travelers who enjoy, protect, and preserve the area's bountiful natural and cultural resources. Again, seeking a competitive advantage by focusing on a very special niche. One a little bit closer from my home is Tofino, British Columbia in Canada. It's a surfing and beach community. It's very, very high end, very high yield, lots of major and expensive resorts. It's about 1 hour flight from Vancouver. It's a year-round destination. But demand during the summer far exceeds the supply of tourism assets. They're very, very careful in what they're allowing to be built in the region. The cost of building in the region is very, very high as well. But tourism is blamed on the cost of housing, environmental degradation, and impacts on Indigenous culture that are thriving in that area. And the headline from newspapers this summer was that rude, messy, disrespectful tourists anger communities on the West Coast. And one tourism operator and keep in mind that this is an operator, a tourism operator who makes their living from tourism, said the visitors are treating this destination like a theme park, and the residents like they're the ride operators. But we're real people, and this is a real community. And again, Tourism Tofino itself has transitioned to a management style organization that generates customers for members and economic benefits for the community while recognizing that they have responsibility. And a couple more that just, many of you will have many thoughts and ideas about your own destinations and the regions that you work in that are really themselves transitioning towards destination management, and that's fantastic. A couple here, Destination Canada just staffed a position for destination development to focus solely on transitioning Canada as a destination into something that's more manageable and something that's created more by design than necessarily by accident. Visit Rwanda, again, distribution of visitors beyond the gorillas, looking at many of the other great assets that they want tourists to find, and that some of the tourism funds go to help support the conservation of the gorilla areas, a really important initiative that comes out of tourism itself. South Africa, focusing on developing communities for tourism beyond the hotspots of Cape Town, Durban, and Johannesburg. And Mexico, developing a dispersion program through their magic towns. Again, creating these magic places that may be not on our current tourism map, but should be, because they are very special places throughout Mexico that we have never heard of, and they go beyond the Cancuns and the Cabos and the Puerto Vallartas that maybe many of us have. So the implication here, of course, is that national tourism organizations are recognizing the need to lead their industries by prioritizing beyond just tourism growth to other priorities, which includes the public good and the opportunities that come out of tourism itself. A couple slides left. So what is the impact? What if we say, nice presentation, Greg, really cool, this isn't going to work for our destination. You know what, we're in recovery mode. We just need to get heads in beds as fast as possible. I get that. I understand that now is not the time. But what are the impacts of our doing nothing? First one is there are going to be continued tensions between residents and tourism industry, especially now when they've seen very little tourism to going back to the way things used to be. The tensions are only going to grow wider. Unmanaged tourism continues to grow. The visitor experience can degrade further. Tourism regions commoditize, and slowly the region loses its reputation and appeal. This might not happen in a couple of years, but it might happen in the next 10 years. So we need to be cognizant of the impact that can have on our tourism destinations if we don't manage them better. Too many visitors during the high season, too few in the low season. We're not evenly distributing them. Tourism opportunities are concentrated in very few hotspots, and leaving the regions outside of tourism, not really looking and seeking those or the benefits of tourism, but the benefits really occurring to only very few spots within a tourism destination. Cultural artifacts may continue to degrade and in great need of repair, very expensive repair, because they've just been overwhelmed by visitors. Proceeds from the tourism industry continue to go to big tourism. Nothing wrong with big tourism. They're investors in our tourism communities, but really, how much of our tourism remit are they taking? How much of that investment are they taking with them into their overseas offices? Environmental issues continue, and communities are relocated in some cases to make room for more resorts and more hotels. And again, the management of tourism, and the biggest implication here is that the management of tourism may be taken out of the hands of the tourism industry and regulated by what I call the heavy hammer of politicians, who basically will just close things because it's politically advantageous for them to do so. And again, tourism needs to manage tourism. We don't need politicians managing tourism. So we have a lost opportunity to take advantage of this pause in tourism to reimagine its future. We have that opportunity, and it really is now. So the final slide is really the impact on stakeholders. So what do stakeholders look like? A new destination vision must be created, and a co-created vision with all key stakeholders, and not just within the tourism industry. It's those residents, it's local government that needs to understand. We need the destination management organizations might need to hire or train for new skills. not necessarily just the marketing skills that we have today, but many of those new skills in product development, destination development, education, advocacy, many of those other ideas. We need to begin the visioning session soon. We need to work collaboratively with our tourism industry, our residents, our stakeholders, and our government groups to try and imagine what they see or how they see their destinations over the coming decade, because now again is the time to start to course correct and create that vision and create the destinations for their future. Engaging new stakeholders in communications and governance of their organizations. Again, we might need more resident stakeholder groups on the boards of directors of our tourism organizations, governing them in addition to the tourism industry. We need to engage more destination development roles in the organizations, ones that look to help influence the development, identify those investors that are aligned with the values and vision of the destination itself. We need to make sure that we're quantifying the true costs of tourism for the region and applying pricing guidance to our tourism industry appropriately so that they are receiving the benefits of the full price and not necessarily the current base of discounted prices. And we need to bring our tourism industry stakeholders on board to help us develop these solutions themselves. Our stakeholder base will be more complex for sure, but again, ultimately more comprehensive and supportive. And yes, there's going to be a lot more collaboration, a lot more meetings with those local communities, but we can protect the future of our destinations by engaging and bringing them inside the tent today. So that's it. That's a quick, I think I had about a half an hour, and I think I took a half an hour to give you my perspective on the transition from destination marketing to destination management. I believe it's critically important. I believe that we should restart tourism post-COVID with that whiteboard, with the opportunity to create that vision for our own future, to reimagine what tourism can look like for our destinations, to work backwards to help us create that vision, and to transition our organizations into more of a management style role in order to make that dream or that vision come true. Thanks very much. And now I think I'm passing it back to Paul.
Well, thank you very much, Greg, for that excellent presentation. So we just heard regarding moving beyond destination marketing to destination management, which leads us to our next session, where we'll see 2 case studies on sustainability from the Asia-Pacific region. So with us, we have 2 destinations, Sarawak and Palau, and they'll be presenting case studies from both their respective destinations. And with us first, presenting, please welcome the CEO from the Sarawak Tourism Board. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Sharzadeh Datu Haji Saleh Askur. Madam Sharzadeh, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much.
Well, over to you.
Okay, so basically, from Sarawak Tourism Board, I'm very honored to be part and parcel of this forum, and today I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of what the state of Sarawak is looking into when it comes to sustainability, as well as Sarawak Tourism Board. We have initiatives that we have done at our Sarawak Tourism Board level. So this morning or today, I will give you a little bit of, in a nutshell, of what Sarawak government green agenda is all about. Can I have the next page, please? Okay, so when I talk about Sarawak government green agenda, I'm talking about the post-COVID-19 development strategy in 2030. Next, please. So in our recent announcement by our Honorable Chief Minister of Sarawak, he had said that by 2030, Sarawak will be a thriving society driven by data and innovation, where everyone enjoys economic prosperity, social inclusivity, and sustainable environment. You can see that in the slide here that I had put a bold on the word sustainable environment. As you know, Sarawak, the state of Sarawak, is the largest state in the whole of Malaysia, as well as it is located in the third largest island in the world. and we have a lot of green lungs, you know, with a lot of beautiful nature around us. And now we want to know and we want to make sure that we take care of this environment for our future generation. Next, please. So in this strategy of post-COVID-19 development strategy for 2030, it is the state's aspiration to make sure that the major economic sector to be developed based on two core principles: digital economy and environmental sustainability. And when I talk about environmental sustainability, you talk about the green economy as well as the blue economy. And blue economy is about the marine life and all, whereas the environmental and sustainability, which is the green economy, we talk about the land and the nature in the environment. Next, please. So can we have the next slide, please? So let's talk about the green lungs. Yeah. Sarawak is the largest state in Malaysia. We have 66 totally protected areas, and which is made up of 46 national parks, 15 nature reserves, and 5 wildlife sanctuaries. So in general, we, the state of Sarawak, are targeting to establish 1 million hectares of totally protected areas, or what we call a TPAs. And by 2020 in itself already, we have reached 800,000 acres that has been gazetted as TPAs. And you will notice that these TPAs are areas where the state will not allow hunting, fishing, and taking any form of forest products from this area. So it is well conserved, preserved, with a lot of green lungs still maintained and sustained for the next future generations. Next, please. The next thing, which one of the things that the state of Sarawak looks into, is ensuring that Sarawak goes towards zero carbon emission. And in March 2021, we have already launched electric powered bus to service the community. And with this eco-friendly transit solution, we hope to reduce the carbon emission. So this is one of the things which the state of Sarawak is looking into in ensuring that the responsible tourism is being taken care of. Next, please. The other way that we want to ensure we reach out to our community is that we also produce what we call our Journal of Responsible Tourism Management. And this is a journal that we like to promote Sarawak about how responsible tourism can be realized in local context. And this will be distributed, and we work with the universities and with the ministry and relevant authorities so that people do understand what responsible tourism is and what sustainability is, and that we therefore align according to the state's vision and mission. Next, please. One of the things that Sarawak is very proud of is that Sarawak has been listed in the UNESCO list. Next, please. And one of the things is the Mulu National Park. The Gunung Mulu National Park is a well-known World Heritage Natural and what do you call this, heritage site, and therefore, you know, it is filled with huge river system, tropical rainforest, and huge caves. This is a must thing to see, and it is something that one who visit this place will be in awe what we have, how we have kept the state have kept and preserved the national park. Next, please. Next, please. The next thing I like to say and very proud of is that Kuching recently have been listed and is the first city in Malaysia to be accepted as a member of UNESCO Creative Cities Network in the field of gastronomy. Could imagine we have 27 ethnic groups, the varieties and the offerings of the food, the different kind of food from every ethnic gives you abundance of culinary experience, if I may say, and that is something that you have to be here to experience it, to immerse in with the culture of the state of Sarawak, in Kuching to be specific. Next, please. Also, Kuching is also been awarded as the World Craft City by the World Craft Council. Here, I like to say that we have our textiles, our ceramics, our woodworks, which are very known to globally, and we're very proud of all the ethnicity that we have been able to keep and sustain the beautiful work of our heritage through these crafts. Next, please. So in general, that's basically from the state level, the highlights of it, there are more, but, I think in view of time, I like to focus now on what STB and how STB has been advocating on responsible tourism. And formed as STB, or Sarawak Tourism Board, we focus on 3 SDG, i.e. SDG 4 on quality education, SDG 12 on responsible consumption and production, and SDG 7, which is partnership for the goals. Next, please. One of the things that I want to highlight is that, with all this SDG, we empower the community, we protect the environment, and we ensure there's economic viability, whatever the initiative that we work with the community, and hence there will be sustainability in the initiatives that we're doing. Next, please. So public-private partnership is one of the way and one of the approach that Sarawak Tourism Board is looking. We work very closely, case study on this, specifically on this initiative with social enterprise and homestay operators to empower and to educate the local community. There are 46 homestays in the state of Sarawak currently, and we hope that by 2030, we will reach at least 60 homestays registered. And with that, what we need and what we plan to do is to improve the life of these people and to empower them. And therefore, the livelihood and the standard of living of the rural community will increase, and which is part and parcel of the agenda of the state of Sarawak. Next, please. As an example, the one of initiative under responsible tourism of Sarawak Tourism Board is the B40 local communities. So basically, these are initiatives that we work very closely with the homestays, the rural homestays. Like I said earlier, there are 46. So the first phase, or the first part that we did was 23 homestays, which we reached out to about 6,508 households, which had benefited about over 37 beneficiaries. What is it all about? It's basically about empowering the community, and these are basically 18 years old and above women group communities, and educating them of what waste management is and how to make soap. Why soap, you may be asking? Well, basically with the pandemic, it is also timely that we teach them how to use and recycle the byproducts, and therefore create soap, and from there be a bit enterprising and be an entrepreneur by be able to sell that soap to their visitors also. So these are one of the ways that we hope to change the mindset of our homestays, and therefore, be able to sustain the homestays through creating and generating income for them. Next, please. We also continued this since the pandemic now moves to the second year already. We targeted and we have done about 10 of the initiatives in this year, and we have reached out to another 2,440 households with 16,935 beneficiaries, which brings to a total of 8,900 plus households that we have reached so far that have benefited over 54,000 beneficiaries. And these are ways that we are able to reach out to the local communities, bring them to understand what the importance of waste management, the importance of soap making, how they can create that soap making skills and knowledge, and make a business out of it. Next, please. Next, please. So these are just some of the pictures I want to show to you where we did and go to the homestays, teaching them, the soap making, letting them know and engaging with them on what waste management is all about, showing to them, demonstrating to them so that they can understand the value of what we are trying to let them know, and the importance and the significance of these workshops that we are reaching out to them. Next, please. Next, please. One other way that the Sarawak Tourism Board looks into sustainability is through our platform, our iconic events. And our iconic events talks about, we're talking about the Rainforest World Music Festival, Greening and Borneo Jazz Festival, sustainable activities. And as you can see, from all the pictures that has been going on, you can see the beautiful pictures of even the dustbin being decorated to make it attractive, to make it more friendlier, to make it people be excited about throwing a rubbish proper bin, and looking into planting plants, mangroves, cleaning up the areas, and therefore working with the community and telling and engaging with them the importance of what and how these activities are, and that this is not a one-off thing, but these are things that we need to do continuously so that we are able to sustain the environment and take care of the environment better. Next, please. Okay, again, from the moving pictures just now, you can see that, this is about the tree planting. These are all done during the iconic events of Rainforest World Music Festival. So we do tree planting as one of the activities, where the people are able to participate. We look into waste management, our waste station. We have green warriors going around, collecting and telling people what needs to be done. We have also a free water station where we do not encourage single-use plastic bottles, and these are just some of the ways that we leverage the events where it has brought thousands of people to enjoy, yet taking advantage of the situation and the platform to reach out and educate and engage with our stakeholders. Next, please. This is also to show the upcycling of reusable waste, like our like buntings, banners, to be upcycling, to make it a tote bags, using our CDs, and to make it as part of decorative, and just showing ideas, giving ideas to the audience, the importance of how we can use and recycle and upcycle things, and not just make it something that is not, what should I say, not be able to repurpose things. Next, please. So with the Rainforest World Music Festival and Borneo Jazz Festival for 2021, we had done it virtually. And I'm proud to say, as part of Sarawak Tourism Board, we have received World Responsible Tourism Award 2021 as one to watch by the World Responsible Tourism WTM, and that has been recognized recently. And it is a nice feeling when we are able to do something good and being recognized internationally, and hope that we'll be able to contribute and give ideas to others how to sustain the environment. Next, please. We also would like to encourage our stakeholders, and therefore Sarawak Tourism Board have created a dedicated microsite where we will have a responsible tourism microsite, and this will be on live by end of this month, and we will then be putting in on this microsite all the stake players of what they have done on responsible tourism, and hopefully encourage others to do more on responsible tourism. Next, please. Last but not least, I would like to also say we have also have a responsible tourism pledge, where this is on our website, and we hope every of our visitors do know about the tourism pledge and take the pledge, and to ensure that they will come and discover Sarawak responsibly, and look into valuing the authentic aspect of Sarawak's culture and heritage side, feel sense of adventure, yet causing no harm to this beautiful rainforest. We hope they seek wonder in the beauty of the nature, but stay on the path. And we really want them to appreciate the Sarawak food and delicacies, and consume responsibly, and not wasting, and embrace Sarawak Unique Festival, which we have more than 100 festivals a year, and respect the lives of the locals, and come prepared to Sarawak, and more to discover Sarawak. There are a lot of things that visitors who come to Sarawak can see, and we hope that you are part and parcel of our sustainability journey. It is a journey. It is going to be a journey for us from now onwards, for a better generation, for future generation. With that, I think that ends my presentation, and I hope I have given you an idea of what Sarawak's journey of sustainability, and really appreciate we can collaborate in the future together and make this planet a better planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Sharzadeh. Excellent presentation. I love the focus on the local culture and heritage and empowering local communities. So we'll be back with Madam Sharzadeh after the next presentation for a discussion. So thank you again, and I'll see you in just a few moments. So our next case study, we'll be looking at Palau. And with us, please welcome the Managing Director from the Palau Visitors Authority, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kodoy Wulukhed. Kodoy, hello.
Hi, Paul. Thank you very much for the introduction. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Palau Visitors Authority Board of Directors and Management and Staff. Thank you to PATA for giving us this opportunity to share with you what Palau has been doing since the pandemic hit, and what has our office and the industry been working on to prepare for receiving tourists. So with that, I would like to start off with the first page for my presentation. Okay, so I would like to share the visitor arrival statistics. What did we, in terms of tourist numbers, how did we fare in 2020, and how are we doing now in 2021? So if you can see in last year, from January to December, we closed the year with 18,363 visitors. And that happened right after the pandemic hit. We stopped receiving tourists in April until the end of the year last year. Now, fast forward to year 2021. So from January to August or January to October, we have received so far 3,357. And I'm going to talk more about the airlines and the flights in the coming slides. But I want to share that the only airline servicing Palau at the moment is United Airlines, and the flight is via Guam. And also we have the travel bubble with Taiwan. So China Airlines is the air carrier servicing the route. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is just more of the visitor arrivals for years starting in 2007 to August 2021. So I just want to share that in 2007, our Palau immigration started scanning passports, and that's why in June, if you can see the slide, it started recording. And we will work on a monthly basis with our Bureau of Immigrations to keep track of visitor arrivals to the country. We only track tourist and business. So if you can see throughout the years from 2007 to 2021, those are the tourists that arrived. We had our highest year in 2015, and then right after 2015, 2016, 17, 2019, and of course 2020 was the year that the pandemic hit. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to share this with you. This is actually today's situation report. It's from the Ministry of Health and Human Services. Every week, they issue a COVID-19 situation report. So I would like to share that today there are no active cases. When I say active cases, it's via travel. There has never been any active case in the community. We've had so far 8 recovered, and those are from air travel into the Republic, mostly from via Guam, not from Guam, but from other destinations flying into Guam and into Palau. Today, there is nobody under quarantine, and we've had 2 historical cases. These tests were from past infections. That's why they call it historical case. So today, the Ministry of Health and Human Services have conducted 14,000 COVID-19 tests. Inbound travelers placed under quarantine or restriction of movement since April of 2020 is around 6,441. And to share with you of a glimpse of what the Ministry of Health has done in vaccination, so far they've vaccinated 14,962 adults. That's 18 and above, 18 years old and above. And then 18 years and above who have been vaccinated with the third dose, it's about 816. And adults 18 and older who have received the booster dose, we're at 2,082. Adolescents, that's 12 to 17, fully vaccinated is around 1,289. Total fully vaccinated against COVID-19, that's 16,251. So Palau is hitting almost 92% of fully vaccinated residents, and that covers fully adult and adolescent. And I would like to share that next week on November 30th, the Ministry of Health will start giving Pfizer shots to 5 to 11 years old. So if you can see, the Ministry of Health has been doing a great job in protecting the borders, detecting COVID infections, and they've done a phenomenal job in rolling out the vaccination. And they do this almost every week. So this week they've done it from Monday to today, but since it's a long Thanksgiving weekday, they're going to stop, and then they're going to start next week again with the 5 to 11 years old. Next slide, please. So when we talk about the statistics, numbers, and what I've shared, how did we get there? So with the new president who was installed in January of this year, he had a vision to really get the economy and everything going. So with that, he mandated all the government agencies who are in charge of the COVID recovery plan. So how did we get ready and how did we open with care? So for PBA's part, we continued doing our assessments. So when I say assessments, we started engaging with the state governments who are the stakeholders for most of the tourist sites, historical sites, and cultural sites. So when downturn of tourism hit Palau, April last year, we started doing the assessments. So we covered the Southern Lagoon, which is comprised of the Rock Islands, Jellyfish Lake, and also some of the states. Palau has 16 states. So, and all 16 states have their unique attractions, unique tourism product. So getting ready is PBA really going out there and engaging with the stakeholders in those states in the community. We visited some of their historical sites. We talked to the governors of each state, get them up to speed on what's happening with tourists and are we going to get prepared once the borders reopen. It took us about 6 months to really get the states going, cleaning up the sites, getting ready. We also had them join some seminars to get involved in how we get most of the community members vaccinated and educated about the pandemic, and really getting them to understand that it's important to keep the businesses, the tourism product ready, upkeep once tourism borders open. We also maintained our AliPass program, and I think one of our program, which is the cultural site in one of the states, actually won an award from PARA for community-based tourism, and that's comprised of women association, traditional chiefs, and community members coming together and creating a tourism product where visitors can come and enjoy and experience cultural traditions through food, music, and folklore and storytelling. So we also met with the group and really trying to get them ready. So when the borders open, they're ahead of the game, as to speak. Then in January to March of this year, we started the Safety Pandemic Training and Certification Program. And that was really one of the mandates from the president to work together with the industry, the Palau Chamber of Commerce, the Ministry of Health and Human Services, border security, border control, airlines, and everybody that's indirectly and directly involved with tourism to come up with safety and protocol guidelines on how to protect the tourism industry operators and how to receive tourists or our customers once borders open. So we had about 4 months to get the guidelines ready and approved by the Office of the President, the Ministry of Health, and then with PVA and the Palau Chamber of Commerce and the Bureau of Tourism, who was really the lead on the Safety Pandemic Training and Certification Program. We went out with a mandate to train and certify almost 350 businesses in Palau. And those businesses comprise of tour operators, restaurants, hotels, and spas, beauty salons, the smaller shops that cater to tourists, and of course, some of our night market vendors. So I'm going to share a little bit of the numbers when we go through the slide. And then in April of 2021, the Palau established the travel bubble with the Republic of China, Taiwan. So we had our inaugural flight on April 1st, 2021. Our president and some of the delegation from Palau flew to Taiwan. And from there, we brought in about 150 tourists. So the travel bubble actually started in April, and it's been going on until this month, November. There are no flights currently from China Airlines, but in December 4th, they're going to pick up again the flights for the whole month until next year. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the assessments that we did. If you can see, that's the world famous jellyfish lake. So we really engaged with the Quarter State government, who's really the caretaker of the lake and the southern lagoon. So we went there and we assessed, and then we also, throughout all the assessment, we put together a summary and a report that was submitted to the governor of Quarter State, as well as the other states that we conducted assessment. And it was just really trying to give them some of our comments on how to improve the site when there's the downturn of tourism and get them ready to when we receive tourists. Next slide, please. This is the Ali Pass program that I was talking about, that won an award from PATA Gold Award for community-based tourism. And these are actually the states that we are still working with until today to try and get them ready. We have new states that have come on board. So at the moment, we have 7 states, and that's 7 states out of the 16 states. Next slide, please. Social media. So with no tourists coming to Palau, how did we keep Palau relevant through the international world? So we continue to do social media. We have our Twitter page. We have Twitter. We have Facebook. We have Instagram. And then we're also working with our Taiwan representative office, and we have an office based in Tokyo. And then we, throughout the years, especially in 2019, PBA came up with what we call the Tourism Ambassador Programs, where we attend trade shows in the US, Korea, Japan, and Taiwan, where some of the local Palauans are residing. And then we use them to be part of our Tourism Ambassador Program. So a couple of examples is when we had the travel and adventure shows in Denver and Los Angeles. There were a couple of local Palauans who are residing in those states. They came and helped out at the booth. So we're managing destination promotion, but we are also utilizing our local residents abroad. Next slide, please. So this is the safety pandemic regulation. So if you come to Palau, you see the Safe for You seal. That establishment has been certified and is ready to accommodate visitors or guests that do walk into those businesses. So if you can see, we've certified a total of 253 businesses to date, and that's today. But there's over 350, so trainings are happening every month, and that's conducted by the Bureau of Tourism. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is just a breakdown of all the businesses that we certified. And the pandemic safety regulations is actually part of our National Tourism Regulation Law that was signed on November 18, 2020. And this is part of our Responsible Tourism Policy Framework, where pandemic safety regulations, tour operators and accommodation regulations are part of that National Tourism Regulation Law. So we're on track to do the accommodations and also to do the tour operators regulation. So if you can see, we have about 43 accommodations that have been trained and certified, and food and beverages services, about 59 businesses. And retail, we have about 29, and tour operators is about 36. So when the flight started in April from the travel bubble, and when United started flying in May of this year, uh, on the PBA website and also the national government website, the Safe for You safety pandemic regulations are on the site. And then travel advisory is also on those two websites. And in the travel advisory, it's basically states traveling into the Republic, you have to have your vaccination cards and you have to present a 72-hour PCR test. And that's flying from mainland to Guam on United to Palau. But for the Taiwan travel bubble, the regulation is a little bit different. Uh, Taiwanese tourists will have to get their PCR test at the Taiwan National Airport 5 hours before departure. If they're negative, they get on the flight. If they're positive, then their safety protocol will have to take over from their side. And that is why the travel bubble was so successful, because Palau was able to establish a traveler verification center in Taiwan that every tourist that wants to come to the Republic have to online submit first arrival and declaration form. They also have to submit an arrival held declaration form. And in those two forms, there are very comprehensive questionnaires that ask you about if you've been infected by COVID, or if you've had any prior infections. Once that goes through the Traveler Verification Center, then the people there will go through the list, go through all the questions, and if you're past the questionnaire, then you get to be on the list to get the PCR test at the airport. Once you're negative, then you go to your departure gate and you wait for the flight to Palau. Next slide, please. So part of getting ready and opening with care, PVA has been going around some of the 16 states and really providing customer service trainings. Not only that, we also provide social media trainings, and we also provide basic tour guiding trainings. Why we're doing the trainings? Because these states, they have to get ready to receive customers. And so far, we've signed up about 5 states. They've all been through the customer service training. They've also done the tour guiding training, and also they have been Safe for You certified. That means now they can receive visitors to their historical site, cultural site, or their tourism attractions. Next slide, please. And this is what I also want to share. PVA has an annual program when we do coastal cleanups. So just earlier this month, we've done about 3 coastal cleanups. And that's really educating the young people, the younger generations, and the people who are from these states that Palau is very susceptible to marine debris. And I would like to say that within the 2 days, we did 3 states. We were able to collect about 100 trash bags, and that's not all. There's still some more. But at least the community members, and especially the younger generations, were involved. And not only we're doing the coastal cleanups, this is to complement what's coming up in next year in Palau. Palau will be hosting the Our Oceans Conference on February 16 and 17. So the part of our coastal cleanup work is really providing some data and information about the trash collected. Not only that, we're going to be trying to convert what was collected, marine debris, and really turn them into something, maybe like a postcard, lanyards, or small giveaways during the conference, and just to really have that story behind it that this is what's happening in Palau. It's real climate change. It's affecting everybody, and this is the result of the work that the community, the young generation has been putting up. Next slide, please. Part of the getting ready and opening with care, we've been successful in maintaining our night markets. The night markets is not only a venue to provide entertainment, but it's also a venue to provide an opportunity for local and young entrepreneurs establishments, existing businesses to come and sell their product, whether it be food or whether it be arts and crafts. But we've been successful in maintaining the night markets. Even during the downturn of tourism last year, we continued to uh, promote and have the night markets. So locals, especially the local expats, were able to come and have fun, joining the night market, and at the same time, our local vendors were able to make some profit during the downturn of tourism. And it's also a venue to really introduce new ideas, new product, innovative ideas, and it's a place where people can also partner up and network and how to really promote each other's tourism product or business during the downturn tourism, and of course now when we're starting to receive tourists. Next slide, please. So part of our getting ready and opening with care. So last year, when the pandemic hit, everything in Palau was shut down. Businesses were affected, especially the hoteliers, the tour operators, and the restaurants. So what our government did, and PVA, our office was part of this, is we created the Cross Act, and that's Cross Act clearly stands for Corona Relief One Stop Shop Act. It was a law that was passed by the National Congress to give relief measures to the businesses and the community who were affected by the effects of the pandemic. So in last year, May, PBA was tasked upon to take over a part of the Cross Act that we call PrEP. It literally means the Pandemic Reemployment Program, where we're tasked of employing of over 700 employees whom their businesses or employers were directly affected by the pandemic. So from May until September last year, we were employing local and also foreign workers in state governments. We placed them in national non-government organizations. We also put them in state governments to really work and uh, some earn some funds during the downturn of tourism. But then in January of this year, we were retasked again to handle only the local workforce. So from January until today, PBA has been employing about 320 local employees, and now we're in the process of moving them from government, temporary government jobs, temporary non-government organization jobs into the private sector. And that's really helping the private sector recover from the downturn of tourism. Because during the downturn of tourism, some of the private sector members repatriated some of their foreign workers. So there was a loss of jobs and a loss of human resources to fill in those jobs. So now what we've been doing with the Ministry of Human Resources, Culture, Tourism, and Development is we've created training programs to really target those who are in the PrEP program that needs training, education, and really to get them ready and certified to take over some of the private sector jobs. So that's an ongoing program. We just started it last month, and it's going to run until the end of December this year, where hopefully we have trained and certified the 320 local workforce or local employees to place them in the private sector. Next slide, please. That's the end of my slide. But before I close, I would really like to leave this message and really say that it's the new normal. There's no solution, but I think the best way to really tackle the pandemic and get everyone and everything moving forward, we have to stick together. We have to work together. We have to be resilient, and then we go day by day, step by step together, I think we can accomplish this and we can beat it. And with that, Palau is open. Please, if you have a chance to take a vacation, think of Palau, and we're here. We're ready for you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Kadoy, for your presentation, and I'd like to welcome back Madam Sharzadeh. We have just some time for a few questions for asking both of you. But one thing I wanted to point that there's a common theme from both your destinations that your work with the local communities in terms of working towards sustainability, and it's actually fantastic to hear about those. But we're talking about local communities and especially the local stakeholders. As we look towards recovery, and as borders reopen and people start traveling, are they still going to be focused? Do you think they're still going to be focused on sustainability, or is it really just going to be making sure that they're economically viable moving forward, right? I mean, hotels want to get heads in beds, right? So how do you, is that still a priority for them, or do you need more encouragement from your side to make sure to keep sustainability front and center? Sharzadeh, Madam Sharzadeh, if you want to, your thoughts on that first?
Okay, yeah, Paul, I think the word sustainability is all about long term, yeah, and I think it is a buzzword which is really for the future generation, and and that's the reason why when we talk about sustainability, it's always good to make sure that we have the community look into that and it's in the right mindset, making them understand the importance of what sustainability is all about. And hence, even though with the pandemic and we are on a recovery stage, I believe strongly that everybody believes that for the future generation, this will continue. It is going to be something that the millennials are aligned to, and therefore it is going to be part and parcel and the DNA of moving forward of how we manage the tourism from a tourism perspective. And I believe it's going to stay here for a long time.
Kadoy, your thoughts?
Yes, thank you, Paul, and thank you, Madam, for your answer. Yeah, I think so. Sustainability is very important, and I think when the pandemic hit for Palau, some of the businesses, mainly the hotels, like what you said, they need to put heads on the beds. But I think they were very innovative. Example is one of the big hotels here. They have about 165 rooms, but during the downturn of tourism, they started doing local promotions. They put out local specials, discounts. They even created a summer Sunday program where they offer very reasonable price for buffets, and they were doing a lot of promotions heavily on social media. So they were getting by during the downturn of tourism because they created local specials, and we have a huge local expat and a local population. And then I think for me that was a good example of their sustainability. But then again, I think they're more into thinking of how to put the customers back into their hotel rooms. So we've been really working with them. Palau has what we call the Palau Chamber of Commerce, and that's where the hoteliers, PVA, some of the national government agencies, we have bi-monthly meetings where we share all our issues, our challenges, and then that's the common venue where we can really work with them. But like I said prior to our program, we just had our economic symposium last week. So that's another venue where not only the hotels, but tour operators and people who are directly affected by the downturn of tourism were able to share their uh, issues and challenges. And the government was very receptive. And I think the outcome out of that is there's going to be a couple of laws passed to really help the tourism industry and also some of the government agencies. When there's no tourists, there's no taxes. So it was a good venue to really share ideas and and how to really move forward. Because like what Madame said, this is going to be part of us. It's going to be with us into the future. So we need to be creative and innovative and really find a solution where everybody benefits.
Well, thanks. So we talked about the local communities, right, and local stakeholders first. Let's move on the traveler side. You guys both talked about. I mean, I know Palau. You guys have the Palau pledge, and Sarawak. You
Yes.
mentioned your pledge. I mean, how can we as an industry educate the traveler to be more sustainable during their travelers? I mean, are there any programs that you guys are doing? I mean, besides the pledges that that Palau has and Sarawak has, is there more that we could be doing in terms of just educating the travelers when they come to your destination? Could I?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I think there's more in what we can do besides the Palau Pledge, and it's still in the early stage. But I would like to say that the Bureau of Tourism, that's under the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Human Resources, Culture, and Tourism Development, they're working on a carbon neutral offset program. So they're in the discussions of doing a carbon calculator. And that to me is really another tool to really educate the visitors to our islands or destinations, is how much carbon offset do you put up when you travel here, or and how you're really going to use that carbon offset to to sustain other programs. And that's one thing I think that we are going to be doing. Other than that is with our oceans conference coming up in February, I think the platform that we've started now and really talking about the effects of marine debris and climate change. I think that's another important tool to really educate our travelers coming to Palau. Sunscreen use, that's going to be when you use sunscreen, that's going to be affecting our marine shores, our marine animals. And I'm happy to say that Palau passed sunscreen law in 2020. So now visitors and stores in Palau are only selling reef safe sunscreen. So that's another tool that we're using to educate our travelers. Other than the Palau Pledge, which has been doing great.
Oh, fantastic. And Madam Sharzadeh, what about on Sarawak's end? How are you guys sort of encouraging travelers to be more responsible?
I feel from the state of Sarawak, what we are doing right now is really engaging with all our stakeholders, maybe at different states, different divisions, that is every tourism players, let them understand, the goal of our sustainability journey. And it is a two-way thing here, Paul. I always believe that the travelers will also listen to the locals. And therefore, if the local understand exactly what responsible tourism is, they will make sure they'll use a biodiversity, biodegradable bags, they'll use proper things to educate our travelers, to ensure that they don't throw and litter things. And so it's a two-way thing. So it is an ongoing thing. It will be the part of our stakeholders here to ensure that they understand what that responsible tourism is all about, so that they be able to educate the travelers if these travelers do not abide to it, and be proud of the land, proud of the state of what we're doing, because it is at the end of the day, it is going to benefit all of us. So, we go through educating through webinars during this 2 years pandemic. We have engagement in small forum, focus groups, reaching out to communities, reaching out to the schools. And that's why I say to you about the responsible tourism journals are created, just to ensure that this is an ongoing thing. And I think the state in itself is very, very committed in terms of environmental sustainability, and that helps a lot with all the commitment from the state level top down. It is therefore our job, as part of the industry players, to ensure visitors who comes here make sure they also take care of the areas and the place that they visited as much as we are locally here. So I think we can't just expect the pledge is good enough. There's more things that we need to do, reach out on a daily basis, continuously repeating the message over and over again, starting from the younger generation all the way. Yeah. So, but for me, I find that with Sarawak Tourism Board and the ministry and the state, we are fully committed and to engage with our stakeholders. And I think that's the way. It's a two-way thing. It can't be just a one-way thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And we're running out of time, so I've got one last question. And Kadoy had mentioned about climate change. People have been saying it is the next greatest crisis for us moving forward after the pandemic, right? We've had COP26, Greta Thunberg, and the protests regarding climate change. So we know sustainability is an extremely important issue, over the next 5 to 10 years to 20 years. So as an industry as a whole, what must we do to improve what we're doing? What is that one thing that we must really focus on in terms of sustainability, social responsibility, that we can improve on as an industry moving forward? Your thoughts on that? There's one thing that the industry should focus on. What should that be? Kadoy?
Well, yeah, that's a really tough question, but I think there's a lot of issues that we need to tackle, but I think it's just a better partnership, a better communication between the government, the stakeholders, and the community. I think if everybody is on the same page, they are all well informed and educated about any issues, especially the climate change and the downturn of tourism, I think everything will move forward. Better communication and better partnership with everybody that's involved in tourism and safeguarding the environment. I think that's the most important thing.
As a director of communications, I would probably agree with that. Madam Sharzadeh, you have the final thoughts on that last question.
I mean, when it comes to that, yeah, I always say tourism is inclusivity. Yeah, every one of us, part and parcel, are involved in tourism, and therefore, for me, it's all about education. Educating all levels are the most important thing. And if you educate them and they understand the consequences and all of that, it will help the planet. It will help our future generation. And if you don't start educating it and taking it for granted that people will know what it is all about, I don't think that will solve the solution. So you need to put and ensure that from the younger generation, from day one, they step into the class, they are educated about all of sustainability, and all the way to their livelihood, they would understand what it is all about. So for me, it's all about education, a continuous effort that we have to just move on and not turning backwards.
And that's actually perfect to leave us. That's why we have these events, to educate our stakeholders across the entire spectrum of the industry. And both your destinations, as I said, really, it's very impressive the work you guys do, educating and communicating with local communities, and a great case study for other destinations to follow. So thank you so much for spending the time with us today to share about both Palau and Sarawak. And with that, I will let you leave, and we'll move to the next session. So thank you very much, Kadoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Today. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Right. So thank you very much again to our two speakers. A really great session to learn about what they're doing. And, two main things, as I said, communication and education. I think it's extremely important as we look to recover, look to rebuild responsible and safe travel and tourism industry. So can I get the holding slide up? All right. So before we move to a break later on, I'm going to move to a quick video and sit back, relax, and enjoy this video. Take me to Sarawak.
This is a new horizon. One we'd never imagined. In a land as old as time lies the ancient wisdom of mankind. We are all in search of something greater, to find meaning in the mysteries long forgotten. What if we went back to where it all began and reconnect with our origin? Now feel the rhythm of Sarawak. This is our prayer for the world. May you come alive even in the stillness as you awaken to newfound senses. May this life be a more immersive journey for as far as you wander. Sarawak, your journey begins here.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that video. And so we've come to the end of the first half of today. So just want to do a couple of notes before we take a quick break. So once again, thank you to all of our speakers, the Sarawak Tourism Board, so the chairman, of course, for opening the event, as well as Greg from 2031, and also Madam Sharzadeh from the Sarawak Tourism Board, and Kadoy from Palau Visitors Authority for that last session just before the video. So thank you very much to all our speakers for taking time out of their busy schedules to to share their insights with us today. Once again, as always, thank you to the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Sarawak, as well as the Sarawak Tourism Board for their generous support for this event. Now, just want to let you know, so later this afternoon at 2 p.m., it's 2 p.m. Malaysia time or Singapore time, wherever, just as an easier reference, we start our next session, and that will be Stories That Inspire. We have two two people in this session. So we have Anne Bonas from the BBC Travel Editor, as well as Nicola Elliott, the Vice President of BBC Storyworks. And they're sharing about stories that have inspired people to travel, especially during the pandemic. That will be followed by a presentation from Willem at Kiri Travel, talk about Cardamom Tented Camp, a fantastic accommodation that's looking to change the world. And then, of course, after that, we'll have our first virtual tour. It's Chase the Adrenaline. There'll be a quiz with prizes. So there's 3 prizes. Also, after that tour, you can also vote. The voting, I think, begins for this tour, so you can vote to see if this is your favorite tour or not. I would suggest you wait to watch all 3 virtual tours before you vote. But and so you have a good idea of which is your favorite virtual tour. And of course, there's a lucky draw grand prize winner. So please do vote to be able to be eligible for that lucky draw. And then I'll do a quick wrap up of today and go into tomorrow's schedule as well. So, as I said about the virtual tours, we have Chase the Adrenaline later this afternoon, and then the other 2 tours are Telling the Soul of Muka and Embrace Heritage in Lawas. That's tomorrow. First one is tomorrow morning, and the second one is tomorrow afternoon. Of course, there will be games. There's a big quiz for all of the virtual tours and prizes for each of them. So, and don't forget to also vote for your best virtual tour. Lucky draw prize. The grand prize is waiting for you. And grand prize is a 4-day, 3-night trip to Miri Sarawak. It excludes international flights, but does include not just hotel stays, but a tour of the city and some markets. To vote, right there, you'll see the button on the exhibition booth. So I said, once the virtual tour is over, you can then vote. If the tour hasn't started, you can still see a teaser at the booths. Voting will close tomorrow at 3 p.m. The winners will be announced on Monday, November 29th on the PATA event webpage. As I said before, please do put your full name. Don't put a nickname. We need to know who you are. Put the name you use that you use to register for this event when you're voting. And talking about the exhibition areas, please don't forget to use the break now to go visit the local product showcase. We have 4 booths. You can look at the local handicrafts of Sarawak and also chat to some of the local representatives. It's very easy to get to. It's just on the lobby page and click on exhibition area. And of course, you can also find the photo booth in the exhibition area. I've seen some photos already. I think I've done a photo. I don't know if it's there, but I have done a photo. It's pretty cool. You got some different backgrounds. You can put some different images in your photo as well. Then share it on your social media page, Facebook, Instagram, actually wherever you wish. It doesn't have to be those 2. If you want, if you're a TikTok person, feel free to put it on TikTok. Remember the hashtag PDMF 2021, as well as PATA events and Sarawak travel. You can go to the live page, or you can just scan the QR code on the bottom right-hand side of your screen to get to the photo booth today. Have fun with it. Love to see all the beautiful smiles from all our delegates. So go do it today during this break. There will be a rebroadcast of today's session tonight. So if you have missed any of the sessions, you can always watch it tonight. Post-event recordings will be only available exclusively to PATA International members. So you should take time to look at the rebroadcast of today's session tonight. There'll also be a rebroadcast of tomorrow's sessions tomorrow evening as well. And just a reminder, the virtual platform will be available for 1 month after the event date. So for delegates, you can also still come to the event platform to actually watch any of the sessions as well, or visit the booths and chats, or look at the virtual tours if you happen to miss them. But you won't be able to vote or be part of the prizes that are available. So if you have information about today's event, feel free to email me. My email is paul@pata.org. If you have other information, if you want more information about PATA and what we do, our research, our events for next year, feel free to visit our website, www.pata.org as well. That's it for this morning's session. I will see you at 2 p.m. That's 2 p.m. Malaysia time or Singapore time. That's in about 4 hours from now. So use this time to grab some lunch, wherever you may be, or catch up on your emails, grab a cup of coffee, grab a snack, and get ready for our 2 p.m. session, and I will see you there. Thank you, and stay safe, and I'll see you at 2 p.m. On the dot. And welcome back to this afternoon session for today's virtual Pata Destination Marketing Forum 2021 under the theme Experiences That Inspire. Once again, thank you to our hosts, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Sarawak, as well as the Sarawak Tourism Board. First, again, let me introduce myself. My name is Paul Brangan. I am the Director of Communications and External Affairs at the Pacific Asia Travel Association, and I will be your host for this afternoon, and actually for the whole event this afternoon as well as tomorrow. Now, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping notes, just as a reminder for those of you who are here this morning and for those who are just joining us now. As you can see on your browser, there is a chat function, so feel free to engage with other participants. If you have any comments about what you're seeing today, feel free to drop it in the chat. Just some other things you can notice in the browser. You'll see there's a one-on-one chat. So there's somebody that you recognize. Feel free to reach out to them one-on-one. And at the bottom of your screen, of course, you can go to the lobby, conference, or exhibition. I'll explain, there are other things in the exhibition area, like the photo booth and the exhibitions, but I'll get to that in just a few minutes. Now, again, feel free to share any of the sessions on social media. Please make sure to tag us. These are different handles under Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram. And of course, please hashtag PDMF 2021, Pata Events, or Sarawak Travel. Now, I mentioned before the photo booth that you can find in the exhibition area, in the lobby page. There you have the photo booth. You can different backgrounds, different frames you can use, different images you can add. It's fun. You should go do it today. And then once you take a photo, share it on Facebook or Instagram and tag us, and also use the hashtag again, PDMF 2021, Pata Events, or hashtag Sarawak Travel. You can also just scan the QR code at the bottom of the right hand of your screen to get to the photo booth. So it's fun. Feel free to do it and join the rest of the team. I saw some photos from some of my colleagues, some nice fun photos. So why don't you join in the action as well? This afternoon, we'll have our first virtual tour, Chase the Adrenaline, and that'll be at 2:30. That's Malaysia time. And so please do join us for that. There is a game, there's a quiz right after the tour where you can win some prizes, but also all delegates are invited to vote for the best virtual tour. There will be a lucky draw prize for if you have voted for either of the 3 tours. The other 2 tours will be taking place tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. But today we'll be Chasing the Adrenaline. Tomorrow is Talian, the Soul of Muka. And then the afternoon is Embrace Heritage and Lawas. You can find them on the lobby page. As I said, you can vote for your favorite virtual tour. It's easy to vote. I said you can find the lobby page, or you can go to the booth in the exhibition area for each of the tours. So after virtual tour 1 ends, you can actually go ahead and vote now. But I probably would suggest that you wait till you've watched all 3 tours and then vote accordingly. Voting will be closed tomorrow at 3 p.m. That's 3 p.m. Malaysia time. And the winner will be announced Monday, November 29th on a Pata event webpage. So I said there's a lucky draw prize. To be eligible, you need to have vote for your favorite virtual tour. The grand prize is a 4-day, 3-night trip to Miri, Sarawak. It excludes flights, but of course it does also it includes a hotel and a tour of the city as well as some markets. It's a value of up to 1,500 USD. So vote and make sure to use your full name, the same name you use to register for the event. Don't use a nickname. Don't use something different than what you registered with, because it'll be hard to find out who the winner is. And I mentioned this, we have an exhibition area, and there you can find the local product showcases. So we have several booths where you can look at the various crafts from Sarawak, and feel free to chat with a local representative at the product showcase. So that's all of my housekeeping notes for this afternoon. And we've come to our first session in the afternoon. We'll be talking about stories that inspire. So first up speaking in this session, we have From New York, the BBC travel editor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Anne Bonus.
BBC Travel, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the site and what inspires us to tell great stories, and also what has been really working for our publication for the past year and a half or so, and where we see the future going into 2022. Okay, next slide. So just telling you a little bit about BBC Travel. We are very inspirational. We say we tell readers about places they've never been and show them a new side to places they think they know. With an open mind and eye for the surprising and a global voice, we inspire readers to fall in love with the world. And that falling in love with the world is really the most important part. We are part of a news site, being part of BBC Global News, but we're really about telling positive stories and inspiration and getting people excited about interacting with different destinations all over the world. Next slide, please. So our approach is a little bit different from other travel publications. We're not looking to do roundups or kind of broad-based destination stories. We really look to different sort of cultural stories that we want to tell around the world, and really celebrating what makes the world very diverse and also amazing. We look to tell stories about people as well as beautiful destinations, whether it's some wonderful natural phenomenon or something that just makes people's hearts stop when they're traveling and seeing a new destination. Next slide. So what's really important is we also want to bring cultures together. It is a difficult world out there. There's a lot of things like xenophobia and a lot of frustration that we see out there. And we want to really change that and bring people together versus pulling them apart. And what's really important, given the past year with the COVID-19 pandemic, is we're telling stories in two ways. We're both telling stories for people who can travel, the small few that are able to do that right now, at least internationally. But we're also telling just beautiful stories that are of interest to people who can't travel. And those stories are wonderful stories that just are timeless. Maybe people will take an idea, put it in their back pocket, and travel in a few months or whenever they're able to when their countries open up. And really, I would say most importantly, the focus of the site is on what we're calling responsible travel. So we're looking at different aspects of this, both in terms of cultural sensitivity as well as sustainability. And we're telling stories from very diverse perspectives. So that's getting different types of authors telling stories, using our global roster of writers, photographers, and video journalists, and local writers as well that have that wonderful expertise about a place. Next slide. So one of the things I wanted to note about this slide here is that during the heart of the pandemic in 2020, our traffic has grown 30%. And I think that's really a testament to the power of storytelling for BBC Travel. And I'll talk a little bit about what stories have worked and why. So we can just move on to the next slide. These are the types of stories. We've also had a new redesign in 2021. So we have a beautiful new layout, and we're able to really showcase beautiful photography as well as the wonderful text stories that we tell, as well as video and of course, our multimedia presentations. Next slide. So I think, there we go. Thank you. So when I said the traffic has grown at 30%, some of the top types of stories have been things like history, culture, and archaeology. And I think this is really important because what it tells us is that people just want to read great stories about places. And they're looking for in-depth storytelling. So it's not necessarily, something like a new restaurant or hotel opening, but these are things like geological marvels, engineering marvels from ancient times, heritage, all those types of historical types of stories. And we've just, even in the past couple months, did one story for example, on China's rice terraces, which was very popular with our audience, as well as a bunch of stories in Australia and New Zealand around these themes. And we're seeing that even a year and a half on, these types of stories are still really of interest to our audience. Next slide. So moving ahead, these are the types of stories we are currently commissioning right now and will be commissioning into 2022, being mindful of the different stages that people all over the world are able to travel, and sustainability. So we have a new series called World of Tomorrow that's looking at communities around the world that are doing forward-thinking things with sustainability and the environment. Slow Commotion is our slow travel series. It's focusing on what we're calling self-propelled travel. So biking, hiking, kayaking. And this also is a nod to how people really want to slow down, go enjoy the outdoors, perhaps go to places where it's a little bit closer to home, but they can still have a great experience and not be in a lot of crowds. On that note, a series called Isolation Vacation, exploring sort of remote places, places where people feel safe and comfortable. We've seen a lot of data with the types of trends and interest in interest in travel from different audiences, and they all tend to be around these themes. And ancient wisdom, and I think this is one of the most exciting things that I've seen grow over the past year and a half, is people want to tap into indigenous knowledge. We're starting to realize that some of the things that we're doing aren't that healthy for ourselves and the planet. People are interested in wellness. And I think this is really great to see these stories really have an explosion of interest on bbc.com. And next slide. Another big topic during the pandemic has been food. And I think it makes sense with people having been in lockdown through much of 2020 and beyond. People turn to cooking. And I think once people did that for a bit of time, they wanted more and more interesting recipes. So we found this really wonderful sweet spot where we could tell stories of foods that maybe people haven't heard of, or tell it in a way that was maybe from a local chef, and also publish recipes as well, so people could make these wonderful dishes at home at a time when maybe they couldn't go there and eat them themselves. We saw this very much in the Asia Pacific region. Our top food story of the year was in Pakistan, followed by India. And also you can see there's Trang, which I believe is in Thailand. And there's just no stopping to these kinds of stories, whether they're simple recipes, sometimes complicated recipes, and anything from wonderful street food vendors all the way to Michelin star restaurants. And this is an area we're going to be focusing on a lot in 2022 as well. So if we go to the next slide. So we're launching a new product, a new site section called it's actually called World's Table. You'll be some of the first to know. And really the idea of this is to smash the kitchen ceiling. Not only do we see a lot of interest in food stories, but we also see a need in the world globally to tell stories from different perspectives. And what I mean by that is stories by women, people from all different places and cultures and backgrounds. Those are the people that, when you think about it, are making the lion's share of the food around the world, and they might not be getting the recognition. So we're going to change that. We're going to smash that ceiling and tell stories for an entire world's table, and really bring in a lot of interesting chefs, as well as telling, as well as publishing the recipes that they're willing to share, so that our audience can try to make them themselves as well. Next slide. And this is just sort of a sneak peek as to what this section will look like. They're going to be very long form stories. We're even looking to partner with World News Television and do a series of 30-minute documentaries on global chefs around the world. And as I mentioned before, publish the recipes along with really beautiful narrative storytelling into a package that really nobody else is doing right now. And I think we're almost at the end. Yes. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoy the presentation, and take some time looking at BBC Travel. Like I said, we had a brand new redesign, so the site is beautiful, and it's definitely something you might not have seen before.
Thank you very much, Anne. Now we're going to go to the second half of Stories That Inspire, and with us on the second half of this session from BBC Storyworks, she is the vice president and talking about how they work with their clients. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Nicola Elliott. Oh, you're still on mute. You're on mute. I think you're good now.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicola Elliott, and I lead the BBC Storyworks team in APAC. We're BBC's in-house creative studio, and we build on the BBC's century-long reputation as the world's most trusted storytellers. And we work with brands to create beautifully crafted stories that move and inspire curious minds across platforms and across the globe. And we also work with Anne and her team to connect brands with editorial. The BBC Storyworks team is truly international in nature, and our creative content teams collaborate with our editorial teams across the world. And we have bases in New York, London, Beijing, Delhi, Singapore, and Sydney. I myself am based in Singapore. And when we ideate our concepts for audiences across multiple regions, our Storyworks team lean into our local editorial expertise and come together to share best practices to optimize topic selection, narrative approach, content formats in order to develop and deliver concepts with universal appeal across geographies that also respect cultural nuances. Through our proprietary science of engagement and science of memory content studies, we have proven how our human-led narratives and immersive storytelling resonate across audiences and deliver positive uplifts for brands. We really utilize emotional responses to lock these narratives into the audience's long-term memory, and these stories stay with them long after they hear them. So today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we've been doing over the last year and how we've brought these narratives to life. Travel, as you've heard from Anne, has been a big passion for us and our audiences for a very long time. And if anything, the pandemic has made it even bigger focus for all of us, from longing and dreaming of new experiences to planning and booking those journeys to reunite with loved ones across the world. The trends that Anne has spoken to you about have been an integral part of our travel offering in the past, and we are focusing even more on that arts, culture, and deep and meaningful experiences, as well as being a more conscious traveler as we move forward to post-pandemic travel communications. The first series I'd like to talk to you about is a piece we created for Macau tourism just before the pandemic that focused on the changing narrative for Macau. So we all know Macau in terms of casinos and beautiful hotel resorts. But what we wanted to do is look deeply into those trends identified by Anne, such as arts, culture, and food, to really rewrite the narrative about Macau and help people to understand how much more is actually available to experience there. And what we did was create a beautiful interactive hub that looked across all of these trends, enabling people to sort of directly explore Macau through their passions, whether that is arts, culture, or food. And this had a fantastic response from our audience, with average dwell times of well over 10 minutes, 60 million impressions on BBC, as well as in excess of 65% higher VOD rates and also click-through rates as well. So here you can see a little snapshot of this bespoke content hub. And as you can see here, each section was skippable through this little menu bar here. So you could dive directly into whatever you wanted to explore. But each section was a little world unto itself. So the art section had several videos as well as interactive displays. And the food section even had some beautiful bespoke food videos. So tying into what Anne mentioned earlier, we actually partnered with BBC Food to create beautiful recipe videos that take users through step by step and how to create these Macanese delights. And then also we had a section on culture and a section on history. Lastly, we also created an interactive map. And this took you all around Macau. It was very animated and shareable, so you could actually explore each of the art destinations in Macau and see what was there to help you plan your trip in advance. We also had an interactive quiz to take people a little bit further into that. So if somebody, for example, didn't know that much about art, they could take a quiz to understand what type of art might appeal to them and help them plan better. We know that our audiences love these type of interactive experiences, which is really shown by the results, as well as some of the input and feedback we had from them afterwards. This next campaign is with Tokyo Convention Visitors Bureau. So we wanted to look and take an insider look into the incredibly rich culture of Tokyo. And the idea for this campaign came not only from the data and understanding that we have that human stories really, really appeal to our audience, but also to bring that element of culture from a truly local point of view, one that you might not get, from a typical Tokyo sites guide, and those undiscovered things that were really, really special to the locals that live there and allowed you to hear those stories from their point of view. This again was a bespoke masonry content hub with 40 original portraits of local people and 40 original featured destinations or experiences that really meant the world to them. Just see if I can get this. You can have a little look at the hub here. So in this hub, you were able to explore through your sort of points of passion. So culture, activity, new, old, history, cuisine, and nature. And it featured beautiful images and faces of the people that were telling you these stories, which we know really appeals to our audience in terms of click-through. So people love to click on things that feature wide and open faces. So as I mentioned, the campaign was experienced through this beautiful interactive hub, and it shuffled all the tiles to promote the experiences that really matter to you. It performed really, really well with 200K plus page views, as well as the average dwell time of 17 minutes and 20 seconds, which is really quite spectacular for a hub of this kind. The next campaign I'd like to talk to you about is one that we did with Singapore Arts Council. And while this campaign started out as a way to raise awareness for Singapore arts and culture across the region, with a series of actually on-ground installations that would invite people to come and visit, the campaign was signed just before the pandemic hit, and we had to pivot. We thought long and hard about how to do this, how to bring in audiences and promote local involvement and pride, as well as showcase art to the region at a time when travel really wasn't possible. So we started this out by running a social media crowdsourcing campaign, asking our audience to share with us their most favorite memories of Singapore, things that inspired them, whether that was a local, with memories of childhood, or whether that was someone that had come here and experienced Singapore on holiday. We then commissioned 35 to 40 of Singapore's most exciting young artists to create one-of-a-kind artworks based on those crowdsourcing ideas, and then plan to feature them in an online digital gallery. So you can see here some of the work that we did on Facebook to actually crowdsource these experiences. So people would be served this in places across the region and requested to feature their most exciting memories of Singapore or their favorite memories of Singapore and send them to us through Instagram and Facebook. We then spoke to these wonderful young artists in Singapore and asked them to submit samples of their work, and worked with the National Arts Council to select a few of these artists to feature in the gallery. Once we had picked our favorite memories of Singapore and the people that had submitted them, we also featured them on Facebook and briefed in each of the artists that were selected to create bespoke artwork based upon those memories. We then created another bespoke and interactive hub that acted as an art gallery for people to be able to experience those pieces of art in a range of different ways, from the kind of ideas behind the work to what had inspired the artists and how they had brought their own kind of thoughts and experiences of these memories to the artwork. So it featured things like sketches from before the artwork was created, things that had inspired them, color palettes, and took them through the full experience of what the artist created, as well as the final piece of artwork itself. And each piece was easily shareable on Instagram. And as a way to really bring people into this art in the pandemic, we also created a series of bespoke Facebook and Instagram filters that allowed you to feature yourself in the artwork itself. And each of these filters are actually still available, so you can go and have a look at them if you're into this type of thing on Instagram. Each of them does a few different little things here. Very beautiful. So overall, the campaign was a huge success despite the pivot. It gained more than 450K page views with an average dwell time of 2 minutes and more than 10 million social media impressions. As many parts of the world are not yet open, and there are many new considerations for travelers, when we are thinking about the way to bring back travel, as excited as we are, that many tourism boards and many of our other travel partners are coming back to talk about travel, we had to consider many other things aside from the themes that we know our audience typically knows and loves, such as highlighting safe and considered reopening of a country, and being mindful that for some reading this content, travel would still be in the dreaming rather than the planning stages. So when thinking about our most recent campaign for the Department of Tourism Philippines, we had to think about the fact that sustainability is a buzzword in the world at large, and it's also a passion for our audience generally. But not only that, it is, as mentioned by Anne, a key new theme for travel. It's also a key part of preserving the beautiful Philippines' natural beauty that attracts many to this island. So we work to combine all these themes together, along with those original considerations that I mentioned, to provide a content series for the Philippines that is just launched. So first of all, we produced a series of beautiful photo essays that look deeply not only into their unique culture and natural beauty, but also what the country actually did during the pandemic and what the country is doing now to rehabilitate and bring back travel slowly, safely, and sustainably to preserve the experience of the traveler for the future. We put these things into a hub and also featured that other trend that Anne spoke about, food. So we did some bespoke experiences around unique points of Philippines cuisine. You can see here a little run through of how our pages work. So very immersive, very photo-led, and very dynamic. We also created a series of fun, shareable, and informative infographics for audiences that presented them with unique facts to educate them, tempt them, and dazzle their friends and family with. The next part of this campaign, which is an interactive map, is yet to launch, but please do visit us on bbc.com soon to take a look. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is a new type of content that we've created called advertiser content. So this content looks and feels very much like the branded content that I've showcased to you earlier. However, as we were starting to talk to our different clients about the content that they've created personally, we know a lot of you have been working very, very hard during the pandemic to create beautiful content of your own. And we wanted to create a place where we could feature that on bbc.com, as opposed to just trying to create new content for you. You may have things that you want to showcase to our audiences in more rich and beautiful formats than just an ad unit, for example. So advertiser content gives you the opportunity to do that. And we will take your content and work it into our interactive formats to create these displays. So you would provide your content to us and we will create this layout and fit it within what we do. And this is just a little sneak peek of something that we have done for Tourism Thailand in that way. So as Anne mentioned, we inspire on BBC Travel, and through the pandemic and through our travel relaunch, we've seen a 35% increase in user engagement. And being mindful of the fact that people are going to want to start going out there and booking, we have started a new partnership with a website called discoverbeyond.com. This website enables our audience to take one step further from just being inspired to actually being able to travel and book around the experiences that they see on our site. The website itself is highly aligned to BBC Travel's core pillars of interest and therefore designed to appeal specifically to BBC audiences. You can see here one of the articles from BBC Travel Journeys page. So this is on travel.com and site. And beside that article, we feature commercial traffic drivers that allow audiences to experience these wonderful stories brought to life by BBC Travel team for themselves. We work with Discover Beyond to tailor these experiences to the type of premium cultural trip our audiences expect, bringing really unique opportunities and inspiring journeys to whet their appetite for post-COVID travel. As I mentioned earlier, there are many new issues that travelers need to consider on their post-COVID dreams and plans, much of which can be quite scary and intimidating. To help them with this, Discover Beyond has a bespoke travel concierge that can help bookers with information, details of their travel needs, as well as reassure them with help should there be any issues around their travel, helping them to book with confidence. This site is currently only available in the AU and NZ markets, but we hope to expand this experience out to APAC soon and be able to offer a full funnel experience to our travel partners. Please do take a look at the BBC Travel's Journeys page on BBC Travel and as well as the site to see for yourself some of the wonderful experiences that we have started with in these markets. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear about our travel content, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Well, thank you very much, Nicola, and thank you very much, Anne, and thank you very much to our good friends over at BBC for taking time out of their busy afternoons to share that insights into stories that are inspiring people to travel now. It's good to see that people are still looking to travel, and hopefully, once borders in this region open up, we'll see travel flourish once again. So now we're going to move on to our next session. And with that, we're going to have a presentation regarding Cardamom Tent Camp. It's an accommodation that's looking to change the world. It's really progressive in the way that they're trying to do that. And to explain more about that story, we have the CEO and co-founder of Curie Travel. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Willem Nijmegen. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Willem?
Yeah, you did, Paul. Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yep. Stage is all yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul. Well, great introduction, and I'm glad to be here, to be invited here. It's really an honor. Still virtual, I'm afraid, so we can't meet in person still yet. But it's still a pleasure to talk about one of the projects we are handling. Actually, it's not under Curie Travel, but under Jana Ventures, and that is Cardamom Tented Camp. Let me just share my screen here for at least you guys can see a little bit more of the camp itself. I hope this works like this. Right. Okay. So Cardamom Tented Camp. Let me just start by giving a little bit of a background on how this came about. Cardamom Tented Camp is in the Botor Sakun National Park in Cambodia, just across the border from Thailand, actually, part of the Cardamom Mountains in Cambodia. And it's a national park that is divided into economic concessions. One of these economic concessions has been taken up by Wildlife Alliance, which is one of the partners in our tented camp. And Wildlife Alliance, as you can see from the rangers here, they are taking care of part of the national park and making sure that it stays out of the hands of loggers and hunters, and make sure that the jungle keeps standing and wildlife in the jungle is actually flourishing. However, it is still an economic concession with what the Cambodian government wants to achieve is also some economic benefit for the country and for the province and the local population. And that's why this economic concession is actually an ecotourism concession. And we were called in to actually make a tourism project in this concession, and that poses quite a bit of a challenge. Let me first talk a little bit about our part of this concession. It's 18,000 hectares, so that's 180 square kilometers. Most of it is lowland rainforest. Partly it goes into the mountains as well, and then it goes down to the coastal area. So it's a pretty large area, 180 square kilometers. And the whole reason why we do this, the whole purpose is to make sure that the jungles keep standing, as I just mentioned. So this is quite a bit different from our neighbors that make economic concessions of this national park by basically logging and then replacing the logged area by monoculture, rubber plantations or other plantations, which is what our neighbors do, and it's obviously also an economic way to get going. But what we wanted to do is make sure that the jungles keep standing and actually wildlife stays alive there as well and actually starts flourishing. So what we came up with is a three-party company to do this. One part is Wildlife Alliance. Wildlife Alliance is working throughout Cambodia, making sure on projects like this and making sure that through rangers in close cooperation with the Ministry of Environment of Cambodia, that large areas, large swaths of land stay out of the hand of loggers. So that's one partner. The other partner is the Miner Group, well known for their hotels, the Anantara, Avani brand, amongst others, international brands. They are the ones that have been supporting Wildlife Alliance by ensuring that this land lease keeps going. And the third partner in that is ourselves, is Jana Ventures, and we are the ones that made the planning for the tented camp. As you can see it here from aerial side, we planned it, we developed it. So in other words, we built it, we constructed it, and we also operate it. So three partners in this, what is essentially a not-for-profit project. Any profit that stays in after a year will be redistributed to Wildlife Alliance, so they can then do more when it comes to wildlife protection and nature protection in this particular area. There are 2 ranger stations in this area, and we support both of them, and one of them features actually in our programs. So that's a bit of the background and who our partners are and how did we get to this, and a little bit more about why Jana Ventures did this, and what our background story is on this. Jana Ventures is actually a portfolio of travel and hospitality businesses, and as one common theme we have is sustainability in everything that we do, in all our ventures that we do. And with sustainability, we mean really what we do is supporting the cause of tourism as a force for good. And that's for those who know me in Pata, they've heard me talk about this particular subject quite a bit, and it includes quite a bit of visitor dispersion. To ensure that there is no over-tourism. Obviously, right now, the least on our minds right now is actually the problem of over-tourism. We have a definite and acute problem of under-tourism right now. But you know, when everything gets going again, we need to make sure that tourism is spread beyond the main hubs. And this is particularly so in Cambodia. It is actually so in all our countries in Southeast Asia. But in Cambodia, because our lodges in Cambodia, let's stick to that, you know, everybody will go to Angkor, but how many people will really see some of the nature of Cambodia while they're on their trip? And that is one of the things that we saw as a great opportunity, other than wildlife conservation, which in itself is fantastic, but also to work and to cooperate in visitor dispersion within Cambodia, and making sure people stay longer in Cambodia as well. And that's kind of like chimes in with a very topical item, which is climate change. And what we want to do is make sure that people stay longer in a place for a longer time and fly a little bit less, in particular regional flights, and when they come somewhere that they will do a little bit more while they're in a destination. That's where we're contributing here as well. So it really comes well, jives well with our overall idea on how tourism should be run, and basically as a force for good. So visitor dispersion is being ticked off with this. We are quite far from Pen. It's about a 5-hour drive, and from where we are, it's about a 3-hour drive to the coastal area, where you have islands like Koh Rong and Koh Rong Samlin, and of course Sihanouk View there as well. But we are only 45 minutes or so from the Thai border, which is kind of interesting as well, because that could actually contribute over time, once land borders reopen again, in an interesting market for Thai regional travelers, not domestic travelers, but regional travelers who may want to go and jump across the border and stay within a national park. So visitor dispersion does not necessarily mean that you have to be very much remote area, but it needs to make sure that people see more of the country, stay longer in the country. So that's what we do. What actually is what we do is, well, what you see here, it's 9 tents, fairly comfortable. I would hesitate to use the word luxury, because we are not air conditioned. We are in the actual middle of the jungle. To get there, you have to go by boat. It's about 30-35 minutes by boat to get to where we are. And that is in the middle of the jungle. And one of our briefs was to make sure that our construction footprint was as light as possible. So how to make it as light as possible? Well, tents, safari tents are a fantastic way to do that. The only thing you need is basically a platform. You clearly need to have gray water and black water treatment. We have treatment plants. We build treatment plants ourselves in the jungle. So we make sure that all the water that comes out goes out clean again and gets clean before it is released back into the jungle. We draw groundwater from a well. We purify that, so we are completely off the grid when it comes to water supply and water release. And we are also, that is the reason why we are not air conditioned, we are also not dependent on the grid when it comes to power. We are completely solar powered. So everything that we do here comes from solar power. Well, and then apart from that, we make sure that there's obviously no one-use plastics. Everything comes in, what comes in, and garbage that needs to be brought out will be brought out the same way it came in, by boat. But we make sure that whatever we do, we try to have as little garbage as possible, and nothing else that we can actually compost back into the jungle as well. So that is what we do and kind of why we do it, 9 tents. What we furthermore do is want to make sure that our guests get involved in everything that we do, and that it is not just to stay, but they also that the guests understand what it is that we aim to what we aim to do. And what we aim to do, as I said before, is nature conservation, making sure that trees don't get logged, and that comes down to making sure that the rangers are being funded, have good material, and are there to do their patrols regularly. Have funding for camera traps, so we know what is going on when it comes to wildlife conservation, and that comes down to the patrols as well. So all of that costs money. And we make sure that within our programs that we run, that people get to one of these ranger camps and meet with the rangers. And we also have programs where people can actually do hikes with the rangers themselves and learn more about what it is, what it entails, these patrols, and how tough it is. And it is quite tough. Although we also make sure that if people are less fit, they can do shorter and more easy trails as well. But part of it is definitely making sure that you know what we mean with nature protection, and you get a real first-hand feel from the front lines of nature conservation and nature protection on how that is all working. And then, of course, there is, and that's part of the economic concession. Everybody that works there, with the exception of the lodge manager, Alan, everybody else is from the local community, which means they come from villages around the national park. And that has a very interesting side effect, because they are so involved in nature conservation and talking about nature conservation with guests, that when they come back home to their village, they will spread the word there as well. And that in itself helps to educate and to make sure that locals understand why we are doing what we are doing, and why it is important not to log, and why it is important not to hunt and leave the forest basically alone. So that has an interesting side effect on the local community as well. So it all kind of fits together, and I bring it back again to our purpose, and it's not only with Cardamom Tented Camp, but with everything that we do, that tourism in its best way cannot just be a real discovery and a real great experience for guests, and really comfortable with good food and great accommodation, great things to do, but also an educational experience. Well, learning from the locals, from the local community, and from talking to rangers and talking to frontline conservation activists and people that are actually doing things like the rangers you see here, and talk about that. It brings people very close to what they see on the news when it comes to nature conservation, to actually be part of it and be involved in all of this. So a little bit more on other things that we do at the camp and plans for the future. And before I talk a little bit about the difficulties for the last 2 years and our hopes for the coming year. So parts of other things that we do there is engaging our guests in putting out camera traps, which is really exciting things to do. We put out a camera trap, and we will get the content to online later on. People can see what type of wildlife they have caught on camera. We have kayaks, as our lodge is right on the river. There's great opportunity to kayak, which is a fantastic way for wildlife spotting. Nearby, around us actually, much wildlife. We have through camera traps we have seen, and also live actually, we've seen otters, fishing cat, gibbon, and macaque monkeys, and a lot more other species as well that people will see while they're on hiking or in a kayak. So it's a great opportunity to just relax. You can just swim. We do, of course, fantastic meals, and in the dry season, we even take people out in the jungle, and they can do either hammock or tented overnights in what's called tent saals, that are tents that are rigged between trees, so you're not on the floor, but you're in the trees, so to speak. So a lot of activities that we do, we operate all of this, so we make sure that people, when they come, it isn't a one-night stay. It is not just accommodation. It's really about experience. And again, this fuels more of what we do with Kiri Travel as well, with other companies, where we can say, like, if you stay longer, you will learn more, and your carbon footprint will be lighter because you just is in one place. And in this particular place, if you stay with us, your carbon footprint is absolutely zero, because we stay in the middle of the jungle, and it's fantastic. So that is how we started, why we're doing things, who is involved, what exactly it is that people do when they are in Cardamom Tented Camp. And that brings me a little bit on some on the last couple of years, the last 20 months of COVID and resilience, and some surprising issues, and then our hopes for the future and our challenges right now. One of the things that we did when we opened our camp in 2018, and we ran 2018, 2019, and beginning of 2020, everything looked very good, very promising. We are actually thinking about, we were thinking about adding a few more tents. And then, of course, COVID happened, and we thought that that would be the end of the camp, because we modeled the camp actually on international tourists. And we were actually pleasantly surprised, and are still pleasantly surprised, that that was kind of a mistake, because there's a big market for, or a sizable market, let's put it like that, for the domestic market in Cambodia as well, which was a very pleasant surprise for us, because it helped us keeping open during the pandemic, except for the periods when it was not allowed to open up. But other than that, we remained open, and we are still open. We are open again right now. So that has been great. It's been a real surprise. So if there's anybody out there that is inspired by this and want to do this type of thing, ensure that you look not only to one market, not only for the international market, or if you're the domestic market, don't only look for the domestic market, also look for the international markets. And we were lucky. We did bet on the only international market, but we were lucky that actually it worked out pretty well for us with the domestic market as well. So, and then a little bit on the challenges that we have. Well, the challenge that we have is, even though we were lucky with the domestic market, it doesn't bring the amount of the volume of travelers that we have budgeted on, or where the whole concept is budgeted on. So we have been having to string along for a very long time, for 20 months, and it keeps on going. So the challenges right now are to ensure that international travel returns to a more normal way, and in order for us to not just hang on, but actually thrive again, and be able to support the rangers and support the effort of Wildlife Alliance, because right now the only thing we can do is hanging on for dear life, but obviously we don't generate the amount of money that is needed to actually support the rangers. So in order to do that, and it shows a little bit that tourism, or it shows a lot actually, that tourism, when it is doing as a force for good, it is also extremely vulnerable. It is vulnerable to the concept that, or the idea, or the concept that tourism is a non-essential business. I think this shows that that is not true. And I think tourism in general needs to do more to be an advocate for, being a force for good, and being actually an essential business, providing livelihood, not only livelihood, but also protecting nature, which is in itself very, very important for the next big challenge that we have, which comes to climate change. We are very much essential, and we need to be being proven. This is a proof that we are essential, and we need to be treated like that as well. And that we get rid of unilaterally enforced border openings with unilaterally enforced regulations that make it very difficult to understand how it is that you can enter into a destination. And this is in particular very important for a destination like Cambodia, which is usually, because it's a fairly new destination and therefore quite often being used as an add-on to either Vietnam or Thailand or another destination. So it's really important that we get back to tourism and allow tourism to thrive again, but in a way that is sustainable and in a way that provides income for local community, supports conservation of culture and nature. And yeah, I think I went through a lot. I had the website open there. That was a little bit more because I couldn't get my my PowerPoint to work. But I hope these couple of slides give a good indication. And I invite you to go on our website. There's a lot more information there, facts, figures of everything that we do. And well, thank you for your attention on this.
Well, thank you very much, Willem. Really a fantastic property, and I love what you're doing and everything behind it. The way you work with local communities, the way you actually set up the camp. It's actually a fantastic accommodation, fantastic property, and I think we should hopefully see more accommodations like this, going forward as we look to reopen. But Cambodia, I think, is open, right? So you can, visit Cambodia and stay at the Cardamom tent camp. You just be vaccinated, and I think it's just 72 hours beforehand. You go in and show your vaccination and your PCR test, and you're good to go in Cambodia. So
Correct.
Why not visit?
Yeah.
So why not visit the Cardamom tented camp? As the holiday seasons are coming up.
Absolutely. Thanks for the plug, Paul. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot to see. And I think what I just said, even though it is quite often being combined, you don't have to. Cambodia has an enormous amount to offer, what we do, but also beautiful islands and beaches. Of course, Angkor and Phnom Penh is a fantastic city as well. And if you want to go a little bit further afield, there's really, real adventure to be had there, like the Southeast Asia as we had it for, 25, 30, 40 years ago. You can still get really rural there. So there's a lot to see there for adventurers as well. So thanks.
Well, and thank you so much, Willem, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to share with us about your property. As I said, fantastic property, and I know you've won a gold award for that. So it was well deserved for that. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Paul. Thanks everybody for your attention and listening.
Okay. So we've heard about stories that inspire. I think we've heard about a property that's very inspiring in itself. The way they're not only looking at environmental protection, but also helping local communities and educating local communities on sustainability. So it's really uplifting to see these examples, and hopefully that can inspire you as a delegate to see how you can create some product and offerings that of course brings tourists, but also gives back to the communities and to the environment as well. So we've heard those two sessions here, and now we've come to our first virtual tour of the day, actually of the event, and it's Chase the Adrenaline. Oh, I look forward to seeing this. Please pay attention. There is a quiz after this. So there will be 3 prizes. So pay attention. You might need to take notes. I would suggest you take notes. I think I saw some of the questions. So pay close attention. It's not going to be easy, but we'll see who wins. And remember, after the tour, please, you can vote on it now, but also I'd suggest you wait to see all 3 tours before you vote on your favorite tour. And remember, to be eligible for the grand prize lucky draw, you need to vote and actually use your name that you registered for the event. So without further ado, is my team ready? Yes, I think we are. Let's take a virtual tour and chase the adrenaline.
Welcome to Take Me to Sarawak, the travel show that takes you on a journey for great food, culture, and meeting interesting people in little-known places. Follow me as I rediscover my homeland. Aram, kita rawon? This episode, we're starting in the capital city, Kuching. You may think that the city has very little hidden away, but we'll take you on a ride through the quieter side and uncover some delicious gems. Let's go meet Farha from Paradesa, Borneo. She is one of Kuching's finest cycling tour guides.
Hi, you made it! Today's a really beautiful day for cycling. Why don't you come with me and I'll show you the ropes, okay?
Okay. Farha will be taking us on a cycling tour of Kuching and showing some of the best hidden secrets in this town and making sure I don't fall off during the tour. I'm super excited to take this cycling tour, but first, let's get our gear ready. Safety first.
Here's your helmet.
Alrighty, let's go. Where are you taking me?
That way.
An adventurous life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Apagi, ibu malu ba? Kocak. I've never cycled through Kuching before, let alone bringing a bicycle on a perahu tambang.
Is that our boat?
Yes, this is our boat.
Well, how long is it gonna take?
Roughly about 10 minutes, depending on the current. All right. The Sarawak River is the main waterway for Sarawak. This is actually the sole entry point back in the day during the Brooke administration, where all ships must go through this river, all the way from the ocean, go through this river to get to the city. And this is our main road, basically, before all the roads were built in the city center. And what we are doing now, getting a perahu tambang, or more popularly known as a water taxi or a small ferry, is something that has been done all the way back in the 1800s. And it's still alive today. The practice is still alive today. That is the Astana, the old Brooke Palace. Before Sarawak gained independence, that was the old Brooke Palace. That is the Indian City Mosque. It is built to replace the original mosque that's just across the road from it, built by the Indian merchants who settled here over a century ago. And the original mosque dates all the way back to the 1830s.
There's so much history on just a small stretch of the river. And now that we're on the other side, it's time to explore.
All right, we're gonna head up and then start riding around the villages.
Just across the river from the bustling business center lies a quiet little village with a 100-year-old history. The streets are lined with gorgeous wooden homes that have combined old-world charms with modern design.
This is one of my favorite houses.
What house is that?
It's a traditional Malay house on stilts with intricate carvings. This one is more old school, more simple in design. There's another one here that has been heavily renovated, but it still has this, this really charming floor-to-ceiling shutters.
The scenery of Kampong Nombor 1 sampai Nombor 6 is so peaceful, and it's a great break from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. It's got beautiful architecture, friendly people, and it's a great way to work up an appetite. So I think it's time we treat ourselves with some local delights.
Come, let's go makan laksa and meet my friend Dee.
There's an art in making Sarawak laksa. How it was being arranged in a bowl is inspired from ais kacang. It must be like a mountain like that. So we put the bihun first at the bottom, and then we put the foundation, which is the tauge. The tauge must be crispy when you cook it, and then we put chicken strips, and then the yellow color, which is the eggs, and after that, the prawns lah, which is red. And after we put all the soup, we put the green on top. So it looks like ice kacang.
This is Chef Ahid's Laksa Udang Gala, one of the best laksa this side of town.
Business starts since 2007. My father-in-law, Chef Ahid, actually started the business because he was inspired by the people of Sarawak. Laksa kami orang tu kira nang unik lah, si kedai orang lain. Nya si berminyak, laksa kami orang pakai udang galah, and then we are the first to introduce udang galah to the market lah. Harapan Chef Ahid ialah yang mau nama laksa Sarawak tu diketahui seluruh dunia lah. Yang bestnya bila beri makan dengan sidak tu lah, sidak customer kami tu. Bilanya senyum ya berfilat. Tanpa hati je rupanya makan.
Oh look, our laksa is coming.
This is absolutely worth the ride here.
I totally agree.
This laksa is a must try. It is to die for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, cherry lah.
Cherry lah, enjoy.
Oh, I want to add extra spicy to it.
What do you think?
Yummy!
Yeah.
With a full belly and a full heart, we're going to start making our way back. This town is so full of unassuming beauty. Even for someone like me, who is born and raised here, I still find new discoveries every day. From local street art to architectural marvels, old and new.
That was amazing, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the ride is almost over. We are headed back to our end point. That will be just a couple hundred meters from here, so it's not really over yet. But I just want to show you one of the best views that you can get in this city. Is this one, the new Dewan Undangan Negeri. It's right on the waterfront, and it's one of the best places for you to hang out at night. There's a light show going on. If you have time, you can check it out at night also. The view's going to be different, and it's going to be super as well. Are you ready to go?
Yep, let's go.
Let's go. Off to the abyss.
Cycling around Kuching brings a whole new perspective, and I can't wait to discover more on my next ride. But for now, we're going to pack up and head off on our next adventure in Padawan. Let's go.
And cut.
Welcome to Take Me to Sarawak, the travel show that takes you on a journey for great food, culture, and meeting interesting people in little-known places. Follow me as I rediscover my homeland. Aram, kita rawan? And we are back on Take Me to Sarawak. Ready for an adventure? Meet this handsome guy.
Hi, I'm Luke Kenny Doring, so I'm the river guide for Sumedang Borneo Adventure. We engage to the local community to build the bamboo raft. So the local community normally, they pick up the bamboo raft and they have to dry it for at least a week or two until it is fully dry. Then only we assemble it and we tie it using ropes, get to 3 partitions. Normally, the bamboo raft is about 18 meters long and it can fit 4 persons. Our journey is 10 kilometers altogether, but this stretch of river, it is called Sungai Sumedang, and you can reach up to Kuching waterfront and it flows out to the main river of Sarawak. So the rapping on this river is not that tough. It's quite easy. You will learn on how to maneuver. We'll teach you how. Most importantly, we get our team to brief you on the safety. And also when you are on the river, you have to listen to our instructions. Just in case if you're capsized, you have your life jacket to depend on. But do not worry, our safety board is always right behind you. Just go with the flow. If you're ready, come, let's go. Let me pass you your life jacket.
Yes, please.
This is your life jacket.
Thank you. Oh, so nice and cold.
Okay, begin hand over.
Where do I go? Gosh. For now, I sit. We're only 2 minutes in and I'm already drenched. Let the adventure begin. Smadang River is gorgeous with its cool water and rapids. It's most commonly used for rafting and kayaking. As we paddle on, Luke tells me more about its history.
The locals used to use rafts as a means of transportation, and they go further up to the village up there with boats. But since you are here, you get to experience on this bamboo raft. And in July, normally, we have this Padawan Raft Safari, where the locals compete among themselves to win the title of the King of River for 42 kilometers.
Can outsiders join the Padawan raft?
Definitely, it's open for public and it's also open for international participants. Everyone should take this trip because it's very near to Kuching, and you get to experience the freshness of the river on a raft. And it's fun. It's like what we have today.
Oh no! I threw our host overboard. Luckily, he's not an amateur like me. So what can we usually see here, Luke?
If you're lucky enough, you can see eagles. That's very common here. Other than that, kingfisher. Monitor lizard. Otter. Yeah, if you're very lucky, you can see otter. In this river, you have a lot of fish. Tegada. Later on, I'll show you. Thousands of it in the
Awesome.
Look up there. Eagle there, behind the tree. So, Sulaiman. Okay.
Di kampung nih. Kampung
Nomor 6. Nomor 5.
Sini bedil. The Smadang River rafting is such an unforgettable and fun experience. It's something that you should definitely try at least once in your life. Plus, it's not too far away from Kampong Danu, so if you're ever in the Padawan area, you can have great Bidayuh food and go river rafting in one trip. The rapids here will melt your worries away and you'll get an arm workout at the same time. There's thousands of takadak fish. This area is part of a tagang fishing system, a sustainable farming method that is managed by the locals. There's strictly no fishing here, and the fish are separated into red, green, and yellow zones. Only fish that are fully grown can be harvested. This practice ensures that there is enough fish for centuries to come. For now, I'm going to dive in, cool off, and get ready to go see a couple of living treasures. Nitya Kaku. Hi, Nenek. This is Nenek Singai, one of the last few Bidayuh ring ladies in the world. They are renowned for their signature copper rings around their neck, arms, and legs.
Atat tip Ayo kak ingin terima kasih, ingin dibahara kawan. Tapi terjadi apa yang juta tua. Coba Con ra trong hi chiếu chỉ cất ca bằng sa ru ai ca ca da da mi te po an da da de tam da kana ti ame ko te pada no halak bala tekka jati nanti no halak beta gati teko samung asal usul tahu ya samung berita samung sejarah nete tanapo atat asal teko tahu ya aman demi jantin po ki ini le dangga cuma hanya te kita ke Romani, kita ke KL Mani, kita ke kampung tulak ke Sarawak mati kong sian dah, denu dunia kilakon sian. Ndek ke kampung Mamangan ni kilakon. Daya kenki. Ini sebab ipakai terbunyi metut atas tu. Nanti kita anak skuter siapa dia bayu lihat bayu nak tengah tengok nyamanan yang nak maki kita dunia nenek dawa ya atau kita lekat pakai ini.
We are lucky to have met the last two ring ladies of Sarawak. Hopefully, with a tidal change in weaving heritage into modernity, more young women of the tribe would be inspired to revive this tradition again. For now, I'm signing out. Dapo unya nubakon. See you next time.
Okay, well, hope you guys all enjoyed the virtual tour, chase the adrenaline. I know I did, and love to try that rafting. It looks like a lot of fun. So we've hope you guys have been taking notes and paying attention because we've come to the quiz. There are 3 prizes, and I'll get to them. These are the 3 prizes for first, second, and third place. You see, the first prize is a 4-day, 3-night trip to Kuching, Sarawak. It excludes international flights. Second prize is a 2-night stay in Miri City Hotel for 2. Third prize is a 2-night stay in Kuching City Hotel for 2. Terms and conditions apply for all prizes, so just keep that in mind. Of course, and flights aren't included with any of these prizes, so also keep that in mind. Now, when you're taking the quiz, I do want to remind you once again to really use your full name as you use to register for the events. If you use a nickname or some other name or anonymous, you won't be able to reach out to you to give you your prize. So, without further ado, this is how to join the quiz. So it's easy. Just go to slido.com. The code is 772841, or you can break out your phone and scan the QR code. So take a few seconds now to do that real quick. Go to slido.com, 772841, or scan the QR code using your phone as shown on your screen. So, right, as everyone is getting onto the quiz, remember there are you've seen the first virtual tour. You actually can vote on it if you want, but as I said, I suggest you wait to visit all 3 virtual tours and then vote for your favorite one. You can easily just go to the lobby, go to the exhibition area, and you'll see at each booth there's a voting button. So for virtual tour 2 and 3, you actually can see a teaser of it today, but you actually can vote for virtual tour 1 now. But it doesn't make sense to vote for that as your favorite one because you still haven't seen what the other 2 virtual tours have to offer. And while you're at the exhibition area, also feel free to visit the other local product showcases and learn about the local crafts available at Sarawak. You also can chat with the local representative very easily. And also at the library, why not take a chance and use the photo booth that we provided. I've already seen some great photos from staff and of course from our delegates today. So, it's got different backgrounds, different frames, different images you can add, put it on hashtag PDMF 2021, hashtag PATA events, or hashtag, I believe it's travel to Sarawak. Is that, or Sarawak travel. Okay, so please do join us. So there's three great prizes that you can win. Said it's slido.com 772-841 or scan the QR code. I'm gonna go back. I'll show what the prizes are again. First place prize, second place prize, and third place prize. It says the first prize is a 4-day, 3-night trip to Kuching, Sarawak, Malaysia. Second prize is a 2-night stay in Miri City Hotel for 2, and the third place prize is a 2-night stay in Kuching City Hotel for 2. So let me ask my team, are we good? Are people coming on? I think, okay. So we have about 13 people. Okay, so if you haven't joined yet, you still have time to join now. So the QR code is right there on the screen, or slido.com 772-841. Feel free to join the quiz today. Just a reminder for any of our PATA staff that are joining, you can't win, but you feel free to play along as well. So PATA staff, we don't take the prizes away from our delegates. So do join us today. And are we good? I'll give you another minute. Any questions you have about today's events, about any of the sessions you saw today, feel free to contact me or any of our team. You can use the chat function, of course, using the platform. There is an information and a contact button on the platform, or you can just email me at communications@pata.org or personally at paul@pata.org. So if there's no other time, we're going to start the quiz. Okay, so the first question, you got 15 seconds. For journaling junkies, what are the must-do activities along the Samadang River? River kayaking, bamboo rafting, caving, and jungle trekking. So what are they? 3, 2, 1. Most people answered river kayaking, bamboo rafting, caving, and jungle trekking. Is that correct? And that is correct. Okay. So let's see the next one. How far is Samadang Base Camp from Kuching City Center? You got 10 seconds. Is it a 1-hour drive, 1.5-hour drive, or a 2-hour drive? Hope you were all paying attention. And 4, 3, 2, 1. And the most popular answer was a 1-hour drive. And the correct answer is 1.5. Okay, so the next question. How long is the bamboo raft? The raft that the host flipped the guy over. So how long is it? 18, 20, or 22 meters? 3, 2, 1. And time is up. And most people said 22 meters, but it's actually only 18 meters long. Okay, the next question is, how many people can fit onto a bamboo raft? Is it 3, 4, or 5 people? Okay, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And everyone guessed. Oh, most people, it was a tie between 3 and 4, and the right answer is 4 people. Okay. So it's the 5th question. What is the name of one of the Sarawak ring ladies? I will not try saying these names because I will mispronounce them. But this is the second to last question. And yeah, 3, 2, 1. And let's see. Everyone said it was the first one, and the correct answer is first one. Okay. And we've come to the final question for today. Name the animals that you might be able to see while bamboo rafting. Okay, hummingbird, ostrich, sea lion, Komodo dragon, Econ bills, or is it hornbill, ostrich, otter, Komodo dragon, Tekada fish? And most popular one was the last one, and it was also the correct answer. Okay, drum roll please. And congratulations to Christine Lim Wavde in first place. Congratulations. Number 2 is Gregory. And in third place is Narissa Cruz. Congratulations to our 3 winners for playing today's game. Christina was really paying attention. She got 5 out of 6 correct. But remember, it was also about time, right? So if the 2, 3, and 4 all had the same amount of answers, but it was also about speed as well. So Narissa, congratulations on third place. Oh, so we do need your email. So Christina, Gregory, or Narissa, please do send us your email address. You can put it in the chat, or you can send it to events@pada.org or communications@pada.org, or chat. So please do send us your email addresses so we can send you the vouchers for your prizes. Congratulations once again. And we will move now to wrapping up today's conference. So just to remind everyone, these were the prizes. So first, second, and third place winner, these are your prizes. Send us your email address in the chat or at events@pada.org. Fairly simple. We will then send you the vouchers so you can then plan your stay in Sarawak accordingly. Remember, terms and conditions do apply for all prizes, and we will send that to you shortly. And the next, okay. So I want to thank, of course, Sarawak Tourism Board for sponsoring the prizes. Thank you so much. And also, of course, for helping us support today's event. I guess for this event, that's not only happening today, but today and tomorrow. Okay, so I told you about voting for your favorite tour. So to vote for your favorite tour, you can use slido.com and the code is 772840, or you can scan the QR code. However, I do suggest you watch all 3 virtual tours before you choose your favorite tour. I know you might really like today's tour, but you haven't seen what the other 2 have to offer yet. But you can vote if you wish. You can just take a photo of this and just keep it on hand after you've seen tomorrow's virtual tours as well. So, and remember, there's a special lucky draw prize, a grand prize. To be eligible, you need to vote for your favorite virtual tour. Voting will close tomorrow at 3 p.m. That's 3 p.m. Malaysia time. That's or Singapore, and it's a 4-day, 3-night trip to Miri, Sarawak, Malaysia. It excludes international flights, and it's valued up to $1,500 USD. So, and of course, I think there is a tour, a city tour, and a market tour that's also included in this package. So, remember to vote, and remember when you're voting, please put your full name, so we can you can match it with your registration name. If you put something different than what you registered for, it makes it really difficult for us to reach out to you to give you your prize. And that ends this afternoon's session. Do we have more slides after this? Oh, yes, there is. This is my wrap-up. All right. So as I wrap up today, I hope you really enjoyed today's sessions. We had some great speakers from Palau, of course, from Sarawak. We've heard from Greg from 2031 about moving from destination marketing to destination management. Of course, thank you so much to our friends at BBC, Nicola and Anne Banis. And of course, thank you as well to Willem for spending their time with us today and providing the insights into the various topics that we heard. So, yep, I thank BBC, thank you, Curie Travel and Willem, and thank you, of course, most importantly, to our sponsors for this event, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Sarawak, as well as the Sarawak Tourism Board. Without you, none of this would be possible. So thank you so much to everybody there, everybody on the team for really supporting us over the past few weeks and months. So, let me go back one more. So I was going to give you an agenda for tomorrow. So tomorrow we start at 9 a.m. and this is 9 a.m. Malaysia time or Singapore time, wherever you may be. We have experiences that inspire. We're going to hear about the Rainforest World Music Festival that takes place in Sarawak. Where we're going to actually I actually sit down with two of the co-founders of the Rainforest World Music Festival. It's a really interesting a festival that takes place everywhere in Sarawak. It's hosted there at the Cultural Village. So come and listen to how it actually all started. Very interesting story. Then that's followed by a presentation from our own advisor for sustainability and social responsibility, Mr. Graham Harper. He's going to talk about tourism destination resilience, the path towards sustainability. We know resilience is actually really important. The pandemic has highlighted the many vulnerabilities, especially for those less fortunate. And so destination resilience will be really important as we look to recover post-pandemic. Because we know, pandemic is one crisis, but there's one looming right around the corner in climate change. So are we ready? Are we ready for recovery, and are we prepared for the next disaster? Then we have our second virtual tour, Telling the Soul of Muka. And of course, there's a quiz as well. And then we have a fantastic panel discussion, Best Practices of COVID-19 Recovery. This is moderated by Rajan Datar. He's the travel show presenter at BBC World News. And we're going to sit down with the Minister of Tourism of the Maldives, the Director of Marketing for Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Board, and the Deputy Governor for International Marketing for the Tourism Authority Thailand. 3 destinations that have opened in various different models. So we'll talk about how the problems and issues that they've encountered, but then how we can help ensure that we have a safe restart of travel. I know that many people are hurting, so we need to get this right and get this started soon. And then I think after that we'll take a break. Oops. We'll take a break after that session and then move to the afternoon session. Can I go back one? Pointers. The afternoon session, we have our virtual tour, our last virtual tour. And then after that, of course, there's a quiz with that virtual tour. And then after that is a presentation on Digital Marketing Masterclass with Mr. Damien Cook. He's a fantastic speaker, so please don't miss this session. Really, like I was telling my colleagues, he's a great speaker, and I always love hearing from him. So please don't miss that tomorrow at 2:30. And then we'll announce we'll announce which one was the best virtual tour by popular vote. So come, and then there's a grand prize waiting for you. But remember, we'll announce the winner on Monday. After that, we'll have some closing remarks from the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture and Minister of Youth and Sports for Sarawak. So please do join us tomorrow afternoon as well. And again, these are the virtual tours. You can actually, I think you may be able to rewatch the Chase the Adrenaline tour. We'll make that available at the booth at the exhibition area. You can go to the virtual tour 2 and 3 exhibition booths and see a teaser of what to expect for tomorrow. And of course, afterwards, please do vote for them. Vote for your virtual tour. There was lucky draw grand prize, and it's a 4-day 3-night trip to Miri, Sarawak, Malaysia. You can see where to vote right there on the exhibition booth as well. Voting closes tomorrow at 3 p.m. and we'll announce the winner on Monday. Okay, and while you're at the exhibition area, also remember to go check out the local product showcases. And look at the various arts and crafts that are available in Sarawak, and chat with the local representative. It's right there at the exhibition area, so check it out today. And also check out the photo booth. I know I've seen some of the photos already, very funny, very cute. I'll show you some of those photos in a second, but it's very easy. Just go to live page, or you can scan the QR code and share it on Facebook, Instagram. #PDMF 2021, #pod events, #Sarawak travel. My team has said they've added some slides of. Oh, there you go. yeah, these are some of the pictures that had already been taken at the photo booth. I love the cute one with the kid there. Somebody has a cat. They had that cat to pose. That's really tough. I have a cat. My cat will not sit still for a pose. But yeah, feel free to take it in, join in on the fun. Use the photo booth now. Share it on Instagram, Facebook. I think you can probably share it on any platform. It doesn't have to be Facebook, Instagram. If you got a TikTok, if you're one of those TikTokers, you can share it there as well. So join in on the fun today at our photo booth located in the lobby. And I look forward to seeing many more photos from our fellow delegates. There is a rebroadcast tonight, so if you missed any of this session and you really want to watch it as soon as possible, 9 o'clock tonight. 9 o'clock Malaysia time. There'll be a rebroadcast of today's session. There's no break in the rebroadcast. So I know today it was a morning session, afternoon. This evening's will just be one broadcast with no break in between. So feel free to watch it tonight. The post-event recordings will only be available exclusively to PATA International members. So, you might take this chance now to watch the rebroadcast this evening. But then again, if you register for the event, the virtual platform is available for 1 month after the event date. So you can also rewatch some of the sessions on demand. And that's it for today. Any questions about anything, feel free to reach out to me. My email is right there, paul@pata.org. If you want to learn more about PATA, if you're not a member now, why don't you consider joining, become a member? Reach out, find out more about PATA at our website, www.pata.org, and how you can be part of the PATA community. It's a very close community. It's a very, very fun community. So reach out to us and learn more today. And with that is the end of today's sessions. Thank you so much to all of our speakers. Thank you again to our hosts, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Sarawak Tourism Board. Thank you, of course, to my team over there to the right for their hard work. And of course, thank you to all of you for joining us today. And I will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and get a good night's rest.